Hey everyone, welcome back to the IwEP Network, or if it's your first time,
Thank you for hanging out with us.
thank you so much for choosing this podcast, and feedback is always welcome. So make sure to check the links below for all social media links, audio and video versions of this show, and merch. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing that feedback, and enjoy the show.
Dreams that fall down from the clouds inside my sleep. Sometimes they are fake, they still dig deep. And when I follow them to the back of my mind, I find that I've gone too far this time. Too far this time.
All right, hopefully, thank you for the call out, guys, for letting us know it's not working. Just sometimes the internet does weird shit. You know, this is the struggle when you're live. So if it's still messed up, let us know in the chat, and we'll address it right away. Actually, I'm gonna do a quick little test myself here. It's still playing the intro music. We're it's a delay.
1 minute behind.
Give me just 1 second here. This is what happens when you don't have like an engineer and shit. All right, we're good.
There
We're
you
good.
go.
Now people can hear our voices. So I want to thank Abaddon Tattoo Studio, unique professional experience nestled in the small town of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. They provide high quality tattoos and piercings in a relaxed, professional, and sterile environment. If you want any other information, you can check the links below. They have Instagrams. You can follow all that. All the links for everything we do here is below. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on the quest of 1K on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to help us out there, and also YouTube, we're trying to hit 1K on YouTube. Make those corporations pay us.
Exactly.
And then Facebook, if you want to let people know we exist. We're always trying to find the cool things, and not just the area, but around the world. But we focus mostly on School County and helping our surrounding areas. But as you'll come to find as a local artist, sometimes it's hard to find local support.
It really is.
Yeah, people are like, yo, you should do it. I'll support you, and then do it and see how many stick
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
And you're like,
It's like for the first 2 weeks, everyone's like, it's sick what you're doing. But then nobody's going to tell you how dope you are every time you drop a song. So it's like, where are you going to find the motivation from?
Feedback is super important, man. And when you don't get it, sometimes it's a struggle. But real quick, I also want to thank other people who support us is the Patreon supporters. So we do have a Patreon. It's $1 for a shout out every podcast until we get to a point where I can't keep track of everyone who subscribes. Our $5 and you get bonus content. So we want to thank the Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop in Ringtown for the donation. Brad Zalonis, the PA Pile Driver Podcast, Hyrith and Other Words Podcast, Jay, Austin Blackwell. That one shouldn't really count. That's blood, but I appreciate my brother taking $5 out of his day and donating to us. And Jennifer Myers. So there are Patreon supporters. If you want to follow us on Patreon and help us grow, the links are below. We also have merchandise. We have 2 merch pages. They're also below. You can get some cool T-shirts and tapestries. If you want to wear my face, God love you, but we do have other logos, so you don't have to rock my face.
I want that one, man.
Yeah, I think when I commissioned the artist to do it, I think she's seen the Joe Rogan thing where his face, and then just did something similar to that.
I love that.
She sent it to me. I was like, oh man, I really don't want to use my own face. And then everyone everyone's like, I like it, and I was like, I guess I have to use it. But I personally, you
didn't like it. Do you like it now?
No,
really?
No, I don't like it.
I love that shit.
It's just because it's my face. You know what I mean? It's weird to me. It's strange. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, the live chat is open if you guys want to hang out, chat with us. Maybe we'll see how it goes. I do have some gift cards from local businesses to give away. Maybe we'll give something away this episode. So if you guys are in the chat and you share this and you let people know and you type and ask some questions, we won't respond to the chat the entire time, but there will be a section we'll pull some questions from if people have some questions or feedback, or if you just want to say some enlightening, positive things to Yeddi here. And I'm saying it right?
Yeah.
I always like the coolers, like Yeddi coolers. Yeah,
I'm gonna copy the logo and put 2 D's instead of the T.
Yeah. Or just do like the D's backward, like an M&M thing.
Yeah.
1 D this way, 1 D that way. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna talk a lot about your music as well as just growing up, because the interesting thing with you as well is not only do I get to see you now as an inspiring creator, I've watched you grow up, man. I've watched you play basketball. I've watched you, do a lot of cool things. And it's interesting to see like your little brother now following the footsteps and carrying.
It's like a spinning image of me. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Except with bright red hair.
I know. And he's like as tall as me now. He's 14 years old. I'm looking eye to eye with him.
I remember watching him play. I'll give him a little plug here in the pod. But I remember watching him play like bitty basketball, like really young basketball. Because I have a younger.
When they have the hoops lowered.
Yeah, and I just remember like watching him, and just because you can see how he was influenced by you and like your dad and like just basketball has been in this kid's DNA since he's born. Like he's grown up watching you, so obviously he followed in those footsteps. Even at a young age of Biddy, he just had a different step over everybody.
It's because I was beating him up since he was little.
And he just worked at it, and he was always a step ahead of everybody. And it's cool to see him now in high school, and they're the team Monty. It's always good to see Monty area always making post playoff pushes and stuff because it's a special place here.
It's tradition. Right?
Go Bears, right?
We don't not do playoffs.
Yeah, it's crazy because at school, if you don't know, if you're not from the area and you're listening from outside of Pennsylvania, the school we graduated from, Monty area high school, literally graduates boy wise maybe 30, 40.
I had 72 in my graduating class. I'm pretty sure
boys and girls
combined.
Yeah,
and it was more so. I think it was slightly more so boys. Yeah, so it's probably like 40 to 30 something, 40 32.
And we won't talk about the football program, but the basketball program, both boys and girls are always making a state championship run every year. Yeah. I mean, they're not making finals, but they're always a contender. Like any given Sunday, or any given day on the court. Every given Sunday is a football reference, but any given time on the court, the talent's there. Even being a small school, they push and they work hard. It's our area's culture. Is basketball.
It's the coal region blood.
Yeah,
it really is.
Which is crazy because all the courts are now like shut down. You can't play basketball like 90% of the courts.
They took the rims down.
Where at?
Like the new court that they put in at the East End. I think those have the rims up, but I know that they took them down at 8th Street at one point. And like I've seen in Tamaqua. Yeah, that's like they just let dogs shit in there.
That breaks my fucking heart.
It makes no sense. It was a perfect size.
Yeah. My place growing up was the high school basketball court. That's where I sharpened my teeth. There. Well, I had to play there because when I grew up, you never even thought of going to St. Canicus unless you were good. Yeah. Like if you showed up at St. Canicus and you were dog shit, you got picked on, bullied. You got picked on, beat up, and they'd send you home crying. So you had to go like St. Canicus was your proving ground. Like, and then the East End kids and the West End kids would all meet at St. Canicus, and the best kids played. Yeah. And I think the next step would be like 8th Street. Mm-hmm. But 8th Street was that was like jail basketball. Like people up there were punching each other. Like it was.
Yeah, you had to bring brass knuckles.
Yeah, it was a physical. That was a physical court. East End was very light because it was like, and it was. I'm not saying it was a bad court, but it was there. 6th Street had its own little.
That's right behind my house. So that's where I was every single day.
I hated those hoops.
So did I. But if you could shoot at those hoops, you're nice in a gym.
I will agree with that. If you can make shots on that double rim backboard this big, you got it. But yeah, so and then. I think later on, St. Canicus got closed down, and then I was like, "Man, we have nowhere else to play." So we start going all over the place, like Hazleton, Harrisburg, Reading. Yeah, there was some scary times there.
I won't play out in Reading ever again.
Oh, you did it once, like street ball, or just in high school?
No, it was when I was playing basketball in college for Albright, and then I went to play at a court in Reading with 2 of my friends, and I guess one of the Reading locals had a problem with one of my buddies that I went there with. And he's like, as soon as we walked in the court, I didn't even have my shoes on yet. Like I walked up in slides, I kicked my slides off, I'm about to put the shoes on. Like 10 people come over and they're just like pointing at us. We're the only white kids on the court. And I'm like, fucking wow. Like this is the vibe we get today.
I watched 3 kids get jumped. Thank God they weren't with us. And then I watched a car accident and the guy rear-ended the other guy. And
like on purpose.
I don't know, but
definitely did that shit.
They got out of the car and just started shooting at each other, and I was like, "What are we doing?"
That wasn't or maybe it was an accident. I don't know. Shooting out of anger.
Just get your insurance information, you know. Reading was a fun experience, and then that was the night. This is how photographic memory I have here. That night, we got done playing basketball, went to my buddy's house, and we watched Chuck Liddell get knocked out by Rashad Evans. Yep. All right. Yeah. So what? Obviously, we talked to you, your basketball little thing there. Yeah. When did you get inspired to start doing music, and what made you go to the side of like hip hop and rap?
So, honestly, I didn't even grow up on hip hop and rap as much as I did like early punk music, like Blink, Green Day, stuff like that. But
the audio quick, make sure.
You're good. But I got into music, like making music, was when I went to Albright as well. Like I was probably like 18, 19 years old, and it was always like it was never like, let's hit a studio, spend money, and try to make a hit. It was more so like, can they hear it?
I don't know. I can't hear myself at all.
I hear you. Don't hear yourself?
No, I mean like I'm playing the recording. Can't hear myself. Oh no, it's going. It's definitely working. All right, never mind. Maybe just not working on Facebook. Who knows? Working on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, it's working for you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, but yeah. So it was never like all right, let's write down a song and try to make a song. It was more so like we'd be getting drunk, we'd be smoking weed, and it was let's put a beat on and just rap. And it was that for like I did it a couple times, and after that, it wasn't with a group of people. I was alone in my room. Like that shit was fun. I'm gonna see what I can come up with in my comfort zone when nobody else is around. And that's when it became like applying things that I've been through, like attacking my demons head on through rhyme. And then it's just I fell in love with it from there.
What are I mean, you don't have to dive into this, but what are some of the demons you had to overcome? Because I think if you talk to a lot of people in your area, and I'm not just trying to gas you up here or anything like that, but just obviously watching you grow up, and you were considered a popular kid in school.
Yeah,
you were the star of the basketball team. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't realize there's more that comes with that. No one knows what you go through when you go home, and you don't have to get into family stuff.
No. But that's the thing. I want to open up about that stuff because once I started making music, it was who can I help out there that might have been through a similar situation. So I'd say the biggest demons that I struggle with has been pretty much my whole life has been struggling with suicide. When I was I blocked so much of it out, it's hard to remember. But when I was in like middle school, my grandfather shot himself. One of the first kids I ever looked up to was Dustin Macy Eunice.
Yeah.
He passed away from suicide. He shot himself. And I was never close with, did you hear, I know Austin was close with him, Jimmers.
I knew of him. I didn't like.
So he shot himself when we were also in middle school, probably a couple of years after my grandfather killed himself. I'm like, what's going on here? And
it's a thing that struggles. I think more people than you know struggle from that growing.
Absolutely.
I struggled most of my middle school on to high school.
Yeah.
Like that was something I struggled with.
So for me, it was just always going through my head, like, why are these people doing this? Like, what would make someone want to take their life? And then you grow up, things change. Like I went through a really hard time when my parents split up. Like that was really difficult on me right when I'm becoming a man, my early stages of manhood. And then it was kind of like I just felt alone from there on out. And then I would say I got shipped off to college, but like I'm an hour away. It's not that dramatic. But I felt alone there. Even though I could have came home whenever I wanted to, I felt alone there. And it was like all the stuff that I suppressed just nailed me at one time.
Was going to college for you a different experience? Because obviously being star of the basketball team, a lot of support systems. You can easily get caught up in Monty area being, the big fish in the small pond, and then you go to you even if it's an hour away, and
it's a whole new world.
You're completely different. I think a lot of people in the area struggle with that as well. When they do leave the area, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm not."
Now I'm just a face in the crowd.
Yeah,
that's nobody. How it was for me because like I don't like to brag about high school sports. I rarely ever even talk about them. But like
your accomplishments speak for themselves.
Yeah,
you did very well.
I was first team All-State in football. 1,000-point scorer in 2 years. And then like I go to college and I'm on a basketball team with these kids from New York, Baltimore,
and they were all
they're better than
scorers.
Me. They're all 1,000-point scorers. Like I'm just that white kid on the basketball team that like. But the thing that set me apart when I went there is like the heart that I have. You know what I mean? Like I have a very big drive. And it was hard to like go from being the dude to now I'm one of the dudes. Like, I didn't stand out when I went to college, and it fucking killed me because I was so used to being the guy.
Yeah, it's very good that you're acknowledging that and then realizing it, because a lot of people don't realize that as well. Like obviously, if you see someone, there's kids that I went to school with. I'm like, man, you were the captain of the football team. You were killing it in basketball. And then you go to college and you're like, what happened to you? You're like, you don't think of those things, man. Like. A lot of people just kind of put people in a box and they think, oh, you're going, you're experiencing these things, but I'm experiencing things too. Like it's weird to just like kind of put yourself in your own bubble and not really see other people, because everyone has a story.
You put your status aside and you can learn that kid that you never talked to, you might have more in common with him than people that you were closest to.
Yeah,
which is insane because you would never think to try to communicate with that person through actual topics that are worth talking about.
Yeah, and then obviously growing up, we used to your parents, separating and everything like that. The hard thing about that is I mean, I can relate but not relate. Like my parents are better now, but most of my youth of my parents growing up, they were together but weren't together. Like it was like a really weird dynamic.
Yeah.
Whereas like I didn't really see them give affection to one another, but they were also kids. They met at 18, had me, and were like, well, now we're stuck together, type
I feel
deal.
like that's how it goes a lot of times around here, though. You know what I mean? Like it's slim pickings.
Yeah, and then my mom has her demons, my dad has his, and then just like me growing up, and they're trying to figure their shit out, and then 11 years later, another shithead comes in the planet.
Yeah.
So it's.
I was an accident. They tell me that proudly. They're
yeah.
like, "You were an accident," and what do they say every time? You were an accident, but you were the best accident we ever had.
I never got that.
Oh, I got that so many times. And you know what's funny? Think about this, okay? Me and my brother are both born in December. Jason December 1st, me December 16th.
You're serious?
You know what that means?
You were St. Patty's Day babies.
My parents were fucking on St. Patty's Day. Like, yeah.
I'm December 5th. Austin's December 10th.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's the Irish in our blood. Like St. Patty's Day rolls around, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna impregnate someone today."
Yeah, someone's getting pregnant.
Fucked.
But going back to living in a small coal region town too, is everyone knows everyone's business. You know what I mean? And then obviously parents know the business first, and they bring it home and they talk, and then the kids are in the room and they hear it, and
then everyone knows it,
and then everyone knows it. And then you're going to school, and you're like,
book.
"Hey, I heard your this happened," and you're like,
"How the fuck do you know that?"
Yeah, you go home, you're like, "Can you guys just fucking stop?
Keep it in these walls."
Yeah,
like.
it's not easy. And then obviously you're also the status of where you are with athletes, because I mean, listen, it's coal region town. If you're top of your game on sports, you're probably gonna be top of the game when it comes to most of the things when it comes to popularity in high school. And then obviously going through stuff with your family, and then everyone's always trying to find something negative to bring you down or pull you down. But I think another thing that was really positive with you, and I will give credit to you and your support friend, like your friend group, is that you guys have always been supportive of one another.
Oh my God, I have the best friends. Like that's one thing I'm proud of how I grew up, because like going back to me going to Reading, none of those, like I might have blended in, but I'm like, you guys do not understand like the brother bond that I have. Like they're like, yeah, I grew up. Once you get 18, these kids are like, yeah, I have like 2-3 good friends. Like I have a solid 15 friends. Like
there's a group, and I'm just saying, like there's a group of like 10 to 15 kids that I see you guys hang out with.
Yeah, we're always together.
And not many numbers of friendships, especially in a large group like that, survive after high school.
Yeah,
and you guys are thriving and staying with each other and keeping friends. It's really uplifting, and it's good to see. Like I get excited. You know what I mean? And I know some people still, like, you know, as you get older, they don't leave their house, so you talk to them less, like Stika.
Literally, Stika, come out of your fucking house.
I don't even see the kid anymore.
I talk to him all. You know what? I hope you're in here right now and you hear me. Yeah. He sends me 45 memes to my Instagram all day. I call him and he's like, "Yo, sorry, I was sleeping." I'm like, "It's 4:00 in the afternoon and you work first shift." Yeah.
but no, I really want to give your friends and your support system a lot of shout out there too, because you guys are you're close, you're bonded. You know what I mean? And I think that's really cool that's stuck together, and it's a testament to who you guys are as people, as well as friends.
That's a lot of my confidence. Is like I go up and down in my confidence. Like I'm either the most confident person in the world, or I'm like, should I even be doing music right now? Like that sounded like shit. But like they don't have to tell me all the time. It's little things like my buddy Luke, my buddy Nolan. It's just they're always telling, like I swipe up. They'll swipe up on my story and be like, "Yo, that was really good." Luke's always playing my songs at parties, and they're always showing their friends. Like that's the stuff like that. They build my confidence up. Like they make me a better person. And we might have just been all having fun when we were little, but you grow up and now like I take little pieces from all my friends. Like I learned something from every single one of them. Yeah, it helps me as a person.
And I think the thing I like the most about that group too is, even if something is not going well, you're not afraid to pull each other's card and be like, "Yo, you're fucking up right now."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I appreciate that, because having my brother a part of that group makes me feel confident that he has someone else besides, you know, his family that he can turn to for help.
Yeah,
and it's a good support system. I know there's some shitheads that he hung out with growing up that I'm just not a fan of.
Yeah, I know.
And I made it very clear. I was like, I don't like that fucking kid. Or kids. There's two of them. I was not a fan of.
Push from the side. Me, what I get from Austin is like, Austin, I can truthfully say is like my best friend, because no matter what I'm going through, no matter what he's going through, if he calls me at 2 a.m., I'm picking the phone up. If I call him at 2 a.m., he's picking the phone up.
I don't even do that for that
It's literally, it's your blood.
2 a.m. for me and 2 a.m. for him are two
way different. Yeah. See, our schedules kind of match up though. So, but the conversations that we get into aren't typical conversations that you would just have with all of your friends. You know what I mean?
There's a guy on TikTok. He's like a comedian, like a black dude, and he does like the thing where it's like the millennial talking to Gen Z, talking to, you know, and he just like plays the same character.
Yeah.
And I always send
so it's just him, and is he changing outfits too?
Yeah,
you got to change outfits.
I was like, this literally, all these conversations remind me of having conversations with Austin, because we're two different generational gaps. So he's like, "I'm sad," and I'm just like, the guy's like with a beer, he's like, "Why are you fucking sad?" This is how we cope. You know what I mean? Like, and I just like, this literally is reminding of like, because he'll be like, "Yo, you don't get it, bro." I'm like, Oh yeah, we've never experienced that growing up. You're the only one. Like so, and then he's like, "You're not understanding." I was like, "I'm not understanding, but I'm a little rougher around
You
the
deal with
edges."
it differently.
My
I
generation,
feel like generations just keep getting softer and softer, though. That's the thing. And
yeah,
I didn't have a big brother, which sucked. I had bigger, like
cousins, yeah,
Chance and Shane and Casey would beat the shit out of me growing up.
and they
like,
were a few years younger than me, but they're just still the same
Yeah.
generation. But we're
and
the
it's kind of the
last-
same gap.
My generation's the last generation to. We didn't get cell phones until like we were about to graduate high school. So
Yeah.
we went that whole
yeah.
grap where like we were still the
Go
generation.
knock on doors on bicycles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there was no communication. And then like your generation is the first generation where like you were handed a phone at like 9 years old.
No, I was later than that. So
Yeah.
Maybe that was just my mom keeping it from me, though. I
Yeah.
don't know. But I'm glad I grew up when I did, because I look at my little brother.
We went by church bells and street lights. That's how we were told to come home.
See, that's me at a very, very, very young age. Like I didn't have that overall growing up. But like I walked into my brother's room. I hope Jason's in here too. I walked into my brother's room. They were having a sleepover, and these kids are like, they're all in the same room, and they're like this. I'm like, fucking talk to each other. You're all right here. Like you're texting each other right now.
Oh my God. That's another thing, fucking sleepovers. I remember the one time me and my wife come to visit, and I opened the door, and fucking Austin had this dog shit little bed, and fucking somehow, because Marcus was not sleeping on the floor, but they were sleeping in the same bed. This shows you friendship, and they're like just like almost cuddling each other. I remember
they were cuddling.
Me and Heidi opened the door. I was like, "Look at these fucking kids." And she was like, "That's adorable." And then they look like, "Shut the fuck up," and close the door. But yeah. Your support for, like I said, your friends and your family and all that stuff is good people. Your mom's always been super nice to me. Growing, she's always been super supportive. Even like growing up, we used to play. It was like Thursday nights. It's at the high school. Like when
basketball.
Basketball. I played with your dad all the time. That's a small town thing. Everybody knows everybody. Everyone had some type of interaction with somebody. And I always tell people too. I used to tell Austin growing up. I said, "Don't go out in those streets and be a scumbag in Monty City." They go, "Why?" I said, "Because that'll people will remember that shit."
You're labeled then.
Yeah, I said, because if you're the kid who smashed out a rock and whipped everyone the finger and goes ha 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 and runs away, like you live in Monty area, like
that's sticking with you for a while too, even if you're young. Like,
absolutely.
It sucks. Like,
and they know your parents.
Don't tarnish your name.
They're gonna fucking come knocking your door and be like, your kid smashed my fucking
little asshole.
Yeah. It's funny because Austin growing up was like, if you if I'm gonna go tell your parents, he's like, I don't give a shit. I'll tell your brother, and he's like,
fuck.
All right, let's
chill
relax.
out. Come
let's
on,
calm down.
Let's figure this out.
What do I have to give you a hug? What's going on here? But no, it's something you can't really put into words if you weren't raised in it. That small
you just don't get it.
Yeah, it's when I get really touchy when people are like, man, I hate this fucking area. It's like, you have no idea.
Yeah,
like maybe it's different now for people growing up in Monty City, but
it definitely is.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I wouldn't either.
I think the coolest thing now with Monty City is we have a lot more diversity.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
We have Hispanics and like black families and stuff like that. I mean, I hung out with the second black family who ever lived in our town. You know what I mean? That's literally our badge of honor. Like, I'm like, yo, you guys, you're the second black family to live here, and they're like, you fucking.
They're like, that's fucking scary.
You know, like, what happened to the first one? I'm like, they're still here.
We don't talk about that. Like, we're not proud of it.
Like, they're still here. They're good people. But I'm just like, you're literally, and then growing up with their struggles. Like, I remember the first time I brought them in my house. My dad literally was like walking in the door. He's like, "Shut the fuck up!" And he just moves his head, like, "What?"
Yeah.
And he's like, and he fucking puts his phone down. I go, "What?" He goes, "Someone literally just called me and said, just giving you a heads up, your son just brought 3 black guys into your house."
Isn't that so fucked up? Like, that's a common thing around here too. Yeah. I'm hoping, sadly to say, I'm hoping it changes because, like you said, here's my house, 6 houses. If you're facing the street from my porch, 6 houses to my left are abandoned. And for years, 5 houses to my right were unoccupied. Mm-hmm. And a Hispanic family moved in to the right, and they're the nicest fucking people.
Yeah. The last podcast I had with the local artist was Ms. Lily, and she was from Shenandoah, and Shenandoah for the longest time was always a joke, like, oh, it's all Mexicans, it's all this. And then it was like a negative connotation. And then by the end of it, it's like, if you look
why is that a negative thing?
I have no idea. It's just, we were kind of like older generations always kind of bred it. And then I think as my generation came, then your generation, the next one.
Well, that's the thing. As those people die,
we're getting rid of
those morals die out.
But if you look at Shenandoah now, there's local business in that town. Like if you go on the main drag, and a lot of those businesses are Spanish owned.
Yeah. Did you ever have the Spanish food there?
the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's so good.
It's fantastic. But if you look at the revitalization program that's going on in Shenandoah, they have heritage days where they like
Really?
yeah they
didn't
have
know
like
that.
giant days where like the Italians and the Polish and everyone get together, and the Mexican,
awesome.
the Hispanic community, the Mexican community all get together and have a heritage day.
Yeah.
Like that town was literally a town where it was decimated and fallen apart and had the biggest racial tension I've ever seen in our area. And now they have heritage days and they embrace one another. And you
can see small steps. It's getting better.
yeah, and it's exciting to see hopefully a future. I just hope more stuff comes to the Money area because I feel like more and more houses are becoming abandoned and
oh,
stuff
it's
like
so
that.
sad.
And it is.
And I know it wasn't like that when I was little, so I know for a fact it was less likely
there,
when you were younger.
It was there, but like I still like every now and then I'll get my like if I come to see my mom, I'll do like a lap. I'll go up like my
just
old
to take it in.
runs. Just like I go down like Spruce Street, then I go down like Pine Street, then I go like I drive by all the basketball courts. And I just drive around town, and
which probably only takes 2.5 minutes.
But it's
to
just
go through
like,
the whole town.
Man, I remember like, my friend used to live there, and that house now like
it burned down.
The front porch is falling off apart, and then like you drive by this house, and like my best friend used to live there, and he's not. You know, some of the people weren't even with us anymore because they either passed away for drug overdose or stuff like that, or died in a car accident. You know what I mean? Like I drove the other day down where Sekavage passed away in his car accident. And
where was that at? Where was it? Because I know
between Monty.
I remember when he passed away. I was young, and everybody was putting the set.
Yeah,
they were like spray painting set all over the place.
It was the road between Brandonville and Monty City, but now that's all those trees are tearing out. Like it's like a giant coal.
Yeah,
like
I know exactly where you mean.
They're mining.
That's where the accident was.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Like the tree that whole spot now is just all completely gone. Like it's just no trees anymore. It's completely gutted out. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. Go through like I don't go too often to Monty City, and when I do, I try to go like support the local business. Like I go to the cake stand. I'll go to McNiff's.
You got to try Abe's. Did you eat there yet?
No.
It's another Mexican restaurant, and
in town.
The Mexican food there is so good. It's a Mexican and Italian cuisine.
Where's that at?
It's a hole in the wall where that used to be, right next to Club 54.
Oh, really?
And like all those restaurants that came in there, it's like a stigma that it's gonna close no matter what.
Club 54.
Yeah, I mean, but it's bringing them business because they stay open until 2 a.m.
The breakfast that used to be there was pretty dope.
Oh my god, yeah, that was a hole in the wall, right?
I never knew the name of it. I
think so.
Is that breakfast place still open? Like if you're going up towards like by the church there, it was like literally in between, like in someone's house. It was like a house, but they turned it into a breakfast spot.
I don't know.
It used to be.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like if you're going towards
on Mono Street or on Center?
I think it'd be like you're gonna go up to Potsy, like that going up that road. There's like used to be a breakfast spot on the right hand side there.
Oh no, that's not there anymore. I don't think
that was used to be a good spot. Dude, we had so many. Like our town at one point had like 6 candy stores.
Hands. I miss Hands so much.
Gavels, Carini's. No, not Carini's. Carini's is still there, right?
Yeah, Carini's is still there.
There used to be one on we're next to Ruts. That used to be a candy store. Like
I don't remember that one.
Like up, that
might have been after my time.
Like that little greenhouse.
I know
big windows. That was a candy store.
Really?
Yeah, there used to be a candy store on Spruce Street. Like a little old lady ran it.
For that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, what was the right next to Herman's Park? One opened there like not that long ago. Probably like probably like 10 years ago. I heard some
shady shit about that one.
Yeah, there was some shady shit.
I don't know
exactly.
May have been on some laws list or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear something so scary? I just looked up. I was like checking. 1/4 of the adults that live in Monty City are on Megan's Law.
1/4.
Look, if you look it up right now, I don't know if it's an old stat. There's about 4,000 registered people who live in Monty City, and I was on Megan's Law because I was so fucking mad, dude. We were at work, and one of my coworkers, Keith, was like, "You see that guy over there?" And he told me like the story. He's on Megan's Law, whatever. It's like a I don't even want to get into it. It's a disgusting story that happened. And so then I'm thinking, my little brother's 14 years old. How many of these fucking scumbags live within? It's 1 square mile. How many people can possibly live in that small of an area?
That's what I was thinking.
1,100 fucking people are registered
in Monty City,
dude. I'm telling you. And what's even scarier, you know how small Summit Hill is? 3,000.
What?
It blew my fucking mind reading it.
I don't want to know that at all.
But think about it, because of it. I'm not going to say poverty stricken, but because of how cheap it is here.
Yeah.
They're gonna sell the houses to those type of people.
Yeah,
which is fucking scary for the community.
And I'm not defending Megan's Law at all, but there are some people who are Megan's Law who are like literally like was walking home from a bar
and peed in a park.
Peed in a park.
Yeah, I know. And I hope that 900 of those. Actually, I hope 1,100 of the 1,100 are.
I knew a guy. I knew a guy who had to register This is back in the days of like the old school under 21 clubs, or even when they were 21 plus, like up at the school mall, like the Memory Lane. He met a girl. She was there. She got wristbanded, the whole nine. They were drinking. He went back to her house. They hooked up. Next day, he found out she was not 21, and the bar, the establishment let her in. They served her the whole nine. He was intoxicated. She was intoxicated. They went home. They hooked up. She was underage.
They got to do something about
and he
that.
got hit with it. Now he's on Megan's Law the rest of his life because of it.
And how do you explain that? Nobody wants to hear that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm on Megan's Law, and you're beep, you're tuned out. Nobody wants to hear that. So I do feel bad for those people, but
yeah, there's a lot of weird circumstances. I know there's a guy in our area. I mean, maybe in a way, maybe it's justified. I don't know, but I always try to not judge anything. I almost have too much empathy, because then some people, like, I always think everyone
empathetic too.
Everyone should deserve a second chance. You know, what I mean,
not everyone.
I try to say not everyone, but I guess then once again my empathy kicks in, because like if someone murders somebody, I'm willing to hear you out if you're willing to make a change. You know what I mean? That's just me. I had to become that because I held on to too much resentment for people.
Okay.
Even in family.
Which is good to let go of.
Yeah, because there's people who I loved. Like, I'll be straight up. There's most of my life, I held a lot of resentment with my parents. A lot of resentment with my parents. Like, I almost went 2 years where I didn't talk to them.
Well, I went about 2 years without talking to my father, and that was after the split. I never even heard. This is what bugs me is I lost 2 years with my father because I never wanted to hear him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my mom was always, nobody's above my mom. Like,
yeah.
Like, I would die for my mother in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have to think about it. So anybody who ever hurt her, it was like, you're fucking exist to me anymore. Yeah. You're dead to me. And like, I grew, I matured, and I was finally like, I'm at the point in my life where even if I don't agree with what you're going to tell me, Dad, I can hear you out.
Yeah. I was the same way. It took me a long time to get there. There was a Bangin' Beers episode where no one showed up.
You can't force it.
And me and my dad literally got drunk on camera, and I learned a lot of my dad's childhood that I didn't know he went through.
That was probably one of the best podcasts you did
for
you.
Yeah, and I was like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I can see why you were misguided and why you're kind of the way you are, because I am a firm believer that the apple don't fall too far from the tree if you don't learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can fall in footsteps of what you're taught and what you're seeing, especially in a small coal region town. Like, you can look up to somebody and be like, dude, I idolize this person, and you're like, oh, he's doing drugs,
he's on meth,
and he hangs out in the bar all day long. Like, that's the cool thing. I idolize, and it sounds stupid to say that, like, but it happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I said over empathetic, but
it's so easy to fall into around here. There's nothing to do. You know what I mean? It's easier to just buy a bag of meth than it is to go find something fun to do.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It very much so. And like I said, the pandemic right now is crushing a lot of people, because the place that we're good places to hang out and hang out with people are like, you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Those few places, right?
Yeah. I can't wait for this to go over. I need a McNiff's night in my life so bad. I love that place.
I actually want to do, I was talking to Chance and Casey, I said that I want to do some songs that we can play together. They said that we can do like a cover charge there and do a show. I want to get a couple other artists. It'll generate business for the bar, my family's bar, and then also be an opportunity.
They're the only podcast, because I like to record on location. I like to go to places or businesses and do like an episode, even if it's not even related to the topic. Be like, hey, but I'm recording today from this place. I did 2 podcasts in McNiff's.
Really?
And they like completely accepted me and made it like, it was awesome.
That's the thing in the community. We need, it's everything. Yeah. So it's hard to get,
I love
especially with stuff that we're doing. It's hard to get a following. So like, I don't like that. I don't know if it is like this with podcasts with you, but with music, everybody looks at each other like you're competition. Like, people don't realize everyone can win. You know what I mean? If we pick each other up in this small community, like everyone can do well together.
It's definitely there. Like, this is not me throwing shade. I'm just being honest. Like, I've had people who sat on this table and were part of my team who then left and made their own show, and I've never been invited even to collaborate with them. You know what I mean? And I just like, man, like, you realize that we can collaborate. Like, there's no hard feelings. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm glad if you came here and you were inspired and then you went and started
and they wanted to take a different route, that's fine.
Then fucking do it. Because the whole reason I started my podcast is because I enjoy talking about the topics I talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough that people want to listen to me talk about those topics.
And I can tell right now, you're so good at it, because I can tell that we're all over the place. Like, you didn't you can just sit down and talk. You're good at talking to people.
Yeah,
you can just sit down and we could talk for an hour.
Yeah.
That's not many people.
And that's what I tried to emulate. Like, I know it's called interviews everyday people, but I just like to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, you learn something from. You can take at least one thing from every person you meet.
Absolutely. And I think even what we're doing right now is very Cole Regional School County. Like, this would be a conversation that you would sit down in the bar and we're fucking we're
25 deep.
We're 28 deep. We're this close to not remembering our own names. But we're having this.
So yeah, what happened with your parents when you were younger?
Yeah, we're having this heart-to-heart conversation, and people can be like, I can fucking relate to that. So
and you know what sucks? It took this for you and I to have this conversation, and we've been around each other many times, but sometimes it's something like this that it takes.
Yeah,
which I appreciate you having me on.
I was very excited for today.
Yeah, so was that.
I did use the ruse of your music, but I also was like, man, I just want to have a conversation.
Talk to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think a lot of times too that age gap is there. We're like, oh, I was never the type of person growing up that I looked at a younger age gap and was like, I dismissed them, they're kids.
Yeah,
because I was that kid who got dismissed because I was just a kid. Like, there's a lot of people now that would say like, yeah, Blackwell wasn't like that. Like, I went to a park, and if there was little kids there and they were waiting to play, I'd be like, all right, let's put two kids my age on 2-on-2, and we'll fill the rest of the 3 with little kids and let them play.
Yeah.
And I would just work, and I'd dish the ball to like somebody, and they would make a shot, and all I was doing was just getting cardio.
You have no idea what those kids were going through too. That could have been the best part of it. Like what we were talking about before, it could have been something 10 times worse, and something as small as that could have been.
Tyler Bernardin is a kid I did that with.
Really?
Yeah. Nobody would let him play basketball, and then one day I was like, yo, you're with me.
He was good at basketball too. I played with him
Not at
before.
first.
He wasn't okay, but when I was playing, because I was even young, I was when you were letting him in as a little kid, I was probably an infant.
Yeah, he was the generation you were probably looking up to.
Yeah, literally.
So Tyler used to come to the court, but they called him Bino. That was his name.
Yeah, that's what I call him.
Yeah.
Bino.
So he came to the court. Nobody would pick him. Nobody would play with him. And I was like, he's like, I want to get better. And I was like, come here every day at this time, and I'll work with you. Yeah. And I used to just sit with him, and I would work on his shot. I'd play games with him. I would just work with him. And it became a beast. He became really good.
He was good. I know.
And then the one day, I think it was, I don't know if you were with them at the time, but Marcus and Austin come back to the house, and they're like, this is fucking bullshit. And I was like, what? They're like, we were playing football down at the school, and a bunch of
those were brutal.
And a lot of those kids and older kids kicked us out. And I was like, they kicked you out? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, who was all there? And he was like, I think he was like Baker, and I don't know if it was Baker, but it was
that age group.
It was that age group.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, get in the car. And you're not going to do anything, right?
No, but that's messed up because you were letting people that age.
Yeah. So
it was the same scenario flipped with a totally different outcome.
Jumped in the car, and I pulled up, and I walked, and they're like, Blackwell. And I was like, yeah, why'd you kick these kids out? And they're like, oh, because we're playing tackle. I was like, so?
Lay them out.
Like, and I was like, did I kick you guys off the court when you guys were playing? And they're like, you're 100% right.
No.
I said, there's ways that you can let them play and not fucking kill them, but let them feel included. And
see, I didn't have that. I was getting laid the fuck out.
Yeah.
Taking my knees. I remember specifically, you know the Morgans?
Yeah.
One of the Morgans was quarterback in his backyard. I take a slant. Okay. I'm epileptic at this point. Like prime time epileptic. I'm taking seizures every 2 days.
We never even discussed that.
Yeah. So I take a slant. I catch it. Whoom, my fucking legs get taken out. Flipped. Smash my head off the ground. I'm laying there like.
I hated that you played football, by the way.
They told me I wasn't supposed to. I wasn't allowed.
I was like, fucking why?
That's what they said to me. They were like, my neurologist, because I had to go. I was getting EEGs like.
When did you find out about that?
5th grade.
5th grade.
My Andy Kuzma, my cousin Andy. We were playing PS2 with the wired controllers. And I just started.
Their dad's a good guy too. I used to play
Uncle
basketball.
Dan.
Yeah, he was.
I fucking love him. I was just with him last weekend actually.
Good dude. He was another one that we played basketball every Thursday. And at first I fucking hated him.
Yeah.
I was like, I fucking hate this guy. But he inspired me to become better at basketball. He was a very talented basketball player.
He was good.
And then for a while I was like, because he was cocky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so was I. And I was a young kid, and he was older than me. And he was like, I'm not letting this little fucking punk ass kid come in here and fucking tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And we had not like a rivalry, but I wasn't a fan of his. But I see him now, man, nothing but respect because
he's nice to everyone.
He pulled me aside one day, and he was like, hey man, if you did this, this, and this, your basketball game would be better. And I never forgot that. And then even that, like I would see his kids, and I'm like, his kids are good kids. Jenny and Andy, right?
Jenna
and
Andy and Jimmy. So
yeah.
I'm not.
Andy's
don't quote me on this.
Who's the older? Jimmy's the older.
Jimmy's the oldest. Jenna's in the middle. Andy's the youngest.
Yeah.
And I know Dan isn't Jimmy's biological father.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't know how I don't know this right now. I just drew a blank. I think Dan's not Jenna's biological father.
Which is strange because they look very similar.
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah.
I'm sending a text message as soon as I get off here because I feel like that's something I 100%
Don't quote us. Yeah.
Don't quote me.
But another great family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back, the first seizure that I took was at their household. Actually, it was at Dina and my Aunt Dina and my Uncle Dan's, which is my mom's sister. And we're in the living room just playing PlayStation. We're playing fucking Spyro. I'll never forget it. And I dropped the controller, my hands curled up and my face scrunched, and I started fucking drooling all over myself. And I'm in my head, I'm like, stop.
So
You look fucking weird.
You're mentally conscious of what's going on, but your body's just shutting down.
But I can't control anything physically. So I'm like, I'm shaking, and I'm like, stop. Like, I'm so scared then. I'm like, what's going on? I can't
you
control
can't ask for help
any
because
of
your
my
body's
body.
not-
I can't talk. My tongue rolls back a little bit. It feels like my mouth swells up. And Andy's like, fucking stop. What are you doing? Like, yo, what are you doing? Like, you're scaring me. And it was like 45 seconds. And then I was like, it's literally like this. Like, it goes from this to, and then you're like, it feels like I spilled a water bottle all down my face and my neck. And he's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, I don't know. That never happened to me before. And then the funnier story is the second one I took was in a hallway in front of my mom. And I lose some like leg mobility. So when I'm taking a seizure, I kind of like drop. So I have to catch myself, but I can't use my arms. So I go down and I catch myself. My mom's like, stop making that face. You look stupid. Like, she's like joking around me. She thought I was messing with her, like making a funny face. And like, I can get like noises out, but I can't. So I'm trying to say, I can't stop. And I'm like, and she's like, seriously, stop. Like, this isn't funny. And I remember that was a really long one. And I had a basketball game. It was right before a biddy basketball game.
I think I remember hearing this story.
This was a scary one. So when I was younger, basketball, nobody can fuck with me. Like, that's all I did. So I went to that game. I couldn't do anything. It was just all blur to me. Like, I couldn't even run up and down the court because it fucks your body up really bad. Like, it's exhausting. I came home and slept for 14 hours straight. Didn't wake up for 14 hours. And my mom's like, something's up with this kid. And then we went to a neurologist. And then the next 8 years of my life, we're constantly going to EEGs. Like, always.
I can 100%, not so in that respect, but I can definitely relate. Like, so I wasn't always amazing at sports. The only sport I was good at growing up was soccer, but I couldn't play it because
we didn't have it.
Our school didn't have it. And then I was kind of forced into basketball and then forced into football. And then I joined the football team and I didn't have the right last name. So the only position I would be good at was kicker. And my position was taken away from me before I was even able to do it. And then I quit at halftime. That's a whole deal. But in our area, you ain't shit if you're not an athlete.
Yeah.
So regardless of what you're trying to do, like, I think for the most part, everybody is like, well, fuck, like, if I'm not going to be good in sports,
what the fuck am I going to do?
You're not shit if you're not a sport. You know what I mean? And then you're like, your body's telling you shouldn't be doing this. And then you have to like, for me anyway, I had to get to a point where I was like 20 some years old and I'm still forcing myself to play basketball. My body's killing me because I have this joint disorder where I dislocate really easily and I have early arthritis and shit like that. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so my body doesn't produce collagen. So at a football practice, I tackle Ethan Kennedy because I wanted to be a starter.
He's a brick shit house.
He was fucking huge, and I literally got down like Rudy. We got in the Nutcracker, and
Rudy,
Coach Quick, and all the other coaches are like, "Yo, get the fuck out!" And I'm like, "Blow the whistle! I'm fucking killing this kid." And they're like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, blow the whistle. They blow the whistle. The best tackle of my life. I fucking put my whole heart and soul into this. I light Ethan up. I drop him on the ground. Like, it looked like a WWE spear.
Yeah.
But as I hit him, my shoulder dislocates and goes down into my chest. And I get up and I'm like, my shoulder feels weird. So I'm doing one of these.
I dislocated my shoulder. Never that bad. I can't imagine. Like, it popped out and popped back in. Fuck that.
Yeah, mine stayed out. So I'm trying to like shake my arm. They think I'm fucking arm pumping, right? Yeah. So I go, Coach, and I go to Coach Quick. He's like, get the fuck away from me. Cause I just tackled the star corner running back. Yeah. And now he has to like justify if I get time in the game. Because I was really good at safety. I loved playing safety. Yeah. Playing soccer my whole life. I can read a quarterback because in soccer you're taught to read where the ball's going to be before it goes. So you don't exert as much energy running because all you do is run in that sport. So I was really good at reading a play and then stepping in and making the hit or making an interception. And but I sucked at everything else because I never played football my whole life. So
it sucks that we didn't have that too. I was actually just like literally yesterday, I was talking to my girl and she played soccer in college. Yeah. And I was like,
it's a great sport.
We never even had soccer. And like, that's so weird for people not from here to get it. I'm like, yeah, we had budget cuts. We couldn't do it.
They tried when I was younger. They were talking about bringing soccer into football, but at the same time, Connor Brennan brought soccer in, and it shut their football program down because everybody wanted to play soccer.
Yeah.
And Monteer is like not a fucking
I feel like a
chance.
lot of people would have jumped on that too if we did bring it in.
Shenandoah's fighting it right now because they're losing their football
how do
program.
we still not have it?
Yeah.
Have it.
Monteer and Shenandoah should just join into one school. That's just my opinion.
It's coming.
I think they should just join into one school and bring more sports in. But anyway, so growing up, this podcast was started because I couldn't physically do sports anymore. And even though I wasn't great, I was never going to become pro. And it sounds stupid to say, but that was my identity.
Mm-hmm.
I played basketball. I'd play wherever I went. Like if I had a bad day or I was angry,
it's a way to clear your mind.
it was a way for me to get my anger out. So I wasn't a fucking Cole Region white kid psychopath where I wanted to fist fight everybody.
And I always need something like that in my life. That's why
music.
I love music now, because it turned into, okay,
So
I broke my kneecap. I dislocated both my
podcasting.
exactly. And it goes well together.
Yeah.
I dislocated both my kneecaps, broke my kneecap. That's the reason I stopped playing basketball in college. And then
it's hard to refine yourself.
And then I found something else. And which is weird because everybody, Yeddi, people look at me and say, oh, that kid was such a good athlete. That has nothing to do with me anymore. If I can go back, I wouldn't even have played sports.
Same here.
If I knew this right now, I would be in my room. You probably wouldn't be seeing me, and I would be making music 24/7.
Yeah, I would have joined. I would have been in the band.
Yeah, no. So, and you know what's funny? I tried to drum in fourth grade. Mr. Wenrick, I was like, teach me how to drum. I'm on a snare drum. I'm like, yep, I can't do this. I don't have rhythm.
Yeah.
But I learned that.
You know what taught me rhythm? Rock band.
Oh my God. We used to play Rock Band. And what was just the singing one? Lips.
Lips, yeah.
Rock Band and Lips. Uncle Dan. He's a very good singer. My Uncle Dan can sing his fucking heart out, bro. He got pipes on him. Like karaoke with Uncle Dan, lit. So much fun every single time. But he used to have us over. And did you mention Brad Zelonis before?
Yeah, he's actually one of the patrons.
That's fucking. I haven't heard from him in so long. I always wonder.
I haven't had a conversation with Brad ever.
Yeah,
ever. Like maybe once or twice. And he somehow found me, and then not only found me, he's never commented on the video, never reached out and said, "I like what you're doing."
But he does.
He threw a $5 support at me on Patreon.
That's awesome,
and I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you never know who's tuning in. It's little subtle things like that it's like.
I sometimes I get like you could probably relate, because here's another thing too. The real reason why I think this interview is fantastic, because even just going that story where we were athletes, I was never on the same level as you. You were you went to state champ, played in playoffs and stuff. I never experienced that. I was never the kid in school that like, I wasn't known for a basketball player. I wasn't known for basketball until I graduated. And the only reason I was known for basketball was for a completely different generation, because I was known for playing basketball. Like I was a street baller with the littles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was never a high school basketball player. But that's kind of became a little bit my identity. Like, he's quiet. Maybe he's an asshole, but he's willing to work with kids that are younger and teach them and make them better. And that was all I was. And then I turned into this podcast thing, and I was like, because I couldn't.
You can accomplish the same thing now.
Yeah, I couldn't do sports anymore. And then either basketball, then I turned into coaching. So soccer, I coached soccer for almost like 7-8 years, and I went from youth to high school. And then I turned into this podcast thing, and it was like I can relate to you because you went to through sports, and now you're trying to rechange your identity, becoming into music.
Yeah.
And people were probably like, what the fuck is he doing?
Well, it wasn't good when I first started. Like, I know.
And I wasn't either. I wasn't a good, I don't think I'm a good podcaster.
Well, there's no goal to reach where you max out.
I just enjoy doing it. And that's what, and it for me, it's my stress relief. And if people are willing to listen, that's even better. You know what I mean? It's
that's how I cope with everything.
Yeah. Same here. If I have a bad day, like there's days where I'm like, I know people are going to be here by 8 o'clock, or I have an interview today at 3, and I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just like, I'm just going to call them and cancel, because I don't want to be around people.
That's how I'm with studio sessions. A lot of times.
And then I don't do it, and I procrastinate, and then there's a knock at the door, and I'm like,
game time.
I immediately snap out of it, and then I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm glad I had this conversation.
Yeah.
For me, this is therapy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I look at my music too. Yep. Because at first it was like I was talking out of my fucking ass. Like if you go back and listen to my SoundCloud stuff, oh dear God,
your earlier stuff, Austin showed me, and you were like, you were emulating what you hear.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You were being hard. Yeah. And I remember I told Austin, I was like, that's not him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying you're not hard. I'm sure you can handle yourself in a fight. Yeah. But like, I think there was a few raps you did earlier where you were talking about like guns and shit. And I was just like, what? His mom works at the bank. What is he talking about glassware? Like, shut the fuck up, man. I'm sorry, Yeddi.
No, I found myself with all.
But I was just like, and I even told Austin, I was like, that's not him.
Yeah.
Talk about what you're into.
And so I got into a lot of shit that I'm not proud of in college.
We've all been there.
Everything I talked about, like, I've robbed people, I've had guns, and like, so what I was saying was what I was really experiencing, but it was me putting on a front
But you were only doing those things because you were
It
trying
was
to
my
find,
environment.
you were trying to find a new place to fit in.
Yeah, exactly. And I was struggling with it so bad. So I'm like, I got into drugs when I went to college. Like, I was doing Xanax and stuff. It's not something I'm proud of, but I overcame it.
Yeah.
Like, I openly talk about it because you can't convince me that there's not another kid that's going to be like me that might fold to something like that.
Yeah.
But I got a grip on myself fairly quick where I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I taking Xanax? Why do I have guns? Why am I robbing people? Like, this isn't you. You've never been this.
Can I ask you a question just as a because I feel like we have a lot more in common than you think. Even I think maybe you're figuring that out as we
Yeah,
go.
no, definitely.
But a huge reason why I didn't go down a lot of those paths, like I was offered all that shit, like, hey, do this, do that. And there was a point in time in my life where I was doing some weird shit. I'll just say my pawn shop days. Yeah.
Okay.
But it could have gone deeper than it did. But it didn't. But I think that the biggest thing for me is I just remembered growing up and just that respect factor. Like, don't do this because it'll haunt you later on.
Yeah, and I got bad karma out of what I was doing.
And I remember
I got robbed after that. You know what I mean? Yeah. What you put out is what you get.
And I just remember like, well, how am I going to influence the only person? At the time, like I said, suicidal. Like I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't want to be here. The only reason I was here is because it was one person on this planet that made me want to stay here. Like I wanted to join the military. I wanted to get the fuck out of here. I like I said, I hated my parents at one point in time. I didn't give a shit about my family, like cousins, family, aunts, uncles. Fuck them all. I'm out of here.
You alone.
I want to dip. But the only thing that kept me anchored here was my brother. And I don't know if you know, and he's kind of aware of it, but I didn't leave, and I wanted to change who I was as a person. Because if he turned around and said, "Well, I did it because I seen you do it," that would have crushed me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I was just like, I'm not gonna do that because I don't want him to do that. Has happened, and I know I see the same bond with you and your brother as because there's an age gap there.
And that's what kills me is like, I see every time he does stuff like this vape right here. This got fucking taken off of Jace by my mom.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat the fuck out of him.
Austin Snapchatted me one night. He took me on Snapchat for like a year and a half because he Snapchatted me one night and he had a cigarette behind his ear. And I called him.
You dirtbag.
And I said, the next time I fucking see you, you're eating a pack of cigarettes.
And they're fucking Marlboro.
And I hung up the fucking phone. And he called my mom. Because he knows 100% I will force feed him.
He's like, I just want to eat a steak, not cigs.
And my mom was like, why do you have to fuck with your brother? I said, I said, did you know he smoked? Because the thing with my mom too is she'd be like, can you go to the store and get like milk for the house, this, and this, and also get me a pack of Newports.
Yeah.
And I would come home with everything except the Newports. And she would get fucking pissed. She'd be like, why the fuck? Like, why do you? I'm like,
oh, I hate that I smoked this.
I'm not buying you cigarettes. So then, like,
I threw it away yesterday and fucking, I know I'm a fiend. I was with my girl yesterday and she was taking it off me. She's like, throw it away. I threw it in the garbage. She left. I picked it out of the fucking garbage, cleaned it, smoked it. I sent her a Snapchat. I was like, I'm a degenerate. Get used to it. Like,
but like, yeah, I wouldn't buy my own mother cigarettes. My wife bought my mom cigarettes. I said, you buy her cigarettes again, I'm fucking kicking you out of this house. And we weren't married at the time. We were just living together. We were dating.
Yeah.
I was like, don't ever buy her cigarettes. And then she stopped doing it.
I need to quit this shit, dude.
But like the day he sent me a thing with him vaping and smoking, I'm like, you're a fucking scumbag. And he's like, what? I'm like, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot. Oh, is it cool? I was like, no. And I'm like,
that's what I say to Jace too. I'm like, learn from me. Don't repeat my mistakes. Like,
yeah.
You see, I'm not doing this because it's cool. I wish I wasn't doing this. Like, there's a lot of shit I did that wasn't cool that I wish I didn't do. I'm like, I'm not smoking this to be cool. It's because I got fucking addicted to it on accident.
Yeah.
Like, we started out, we were packing dips, spitting, smoking cigars since we were like 14. Like,
yeah,
like we were always doing shit like that. And I wish I didn't because then I got older and I'm like, all right, I'm actually kind of starting to feel like I need nicotine now.
Yeah, it's a goddamn shame. But yeah, can you relate to that? Like, is that a big thing with you and your brother as well?
Wait, what's that?
Like, trying to teach him and make him a better person.
Oh, 100%. I sit him down and I say to him, I'm like, we have deeper conversations that you can never understand, but it's only because I want you to have the conversations I wish now that I had at your age.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to him about like, I'm getting his perspective at his age on death. Because again, like from my grandfather killing himself, I blocked it all out. I don't remember how I felt about it at that time. So not only am I trying to teach him, I'm trying to remember the things about myself that I couldn't. Because you want to know a crazy story? I don't know what this means. My grandfather shot himself and was dying when my mom was giving birth to Jace.
Oh wow.
So my grandfather died, and then my mom gave birth to Jace like almost immediately
So
after.
it's one of those things where maybe like reincarnation.
Give a life, take a life.
Yeah.
Jace was being born with his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. And they were seriously like, I can't imagine my life without him right now. He's one of the biggest things in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it unwrapped and he was born. And that's just one of the craziest stories to me that I wish I understood it, but I never will. Like, I don't know what did that, why he didn't die.
Like, so the time frame, like he's being born, your grandfather's committing suicide.
So my grandfather shot himself, but didn't die immediately. Like, he didn't die on the spot. So
did you ever find out like what his traumas were or what bothered him?
I know he was in a lot of pain. I wish I remembered more information for it, because it's just all a blur for me. Like, so he bought a new house. It was a house right here, and then they bought on Pine Street, and they bought a bigger house on the same exact block. Like, talk about moving far away.
Yeah.
Just on Mono Street instead. So he was fixing it up for my grandmother, and I was supposed to help him fix the house up that day. So I packed a backpack with like a hammer in it. Like, I was ready to go. I wouldn't have actually fucking helped him, but in my head, I'm like, I built a house. Like,
yeah, I was there.
And I had my backpack ready to go, and we're going down, and my mom was like, hey, we're not. That's why I have an apple tattooed behind my ear. So we called him Apple.
Yeah. And
that was my mom's dad. So I was supposed to go down and help him fix up the house, and it was like, hey, we're not going to go to Apple's today. And I'm like, why? Like, I've been looking forward to it. And then I just remember going down, and there's like ambulances everywhere, and you see it all the time in the small town. You know what I mean? Like, someone overdosed, an old person sick, there's a fire. So in my head, I'm not thinking anything, but then I go black, and the next thing I remember is being in Mrs. O'Connor's, which was a neighbor's house, and my dad, everybody's crying, and nobody told me what happened yet. So I start crying. I'm like, everybody's sad. Something, you could feel it. You could feel the energy in the room. So I'm like, something's wrong here. Why is nobody telling me? Like, I know I'm at that age. Even at that time, I'm like, I get why nobody's telling me, but this is serious. Like, I've never seen my mom and my dad cry like this. And then I remember I was on a rocking chair. Like, I'm little, like just bawling my eyes out on my dad's shirt, like fucking snot all over his t-shirt. And I don't remember exactly when they told me, but he didn't die on the spot. So they took him to the hospital, and he was like fighting for his life for a couple weeks, and eventually he passed away from it due to other issues. Like, I'm not sure exactly what he was going through, but I think it was like a couple weeks after that. Then once we're doing funeral arrangements when my mom's water breaks. I'm fairly sure. Like, that's how I remember it.
Okay, so he was already gone.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like they were in the hospital at the same exact moment, but it was just like everything's one after another in the same.
How did your gram cope with that?
So after that, my grandmother started just like losing pieces and pieces shortly at a time. So she actually moved in with us.
Like almost like early signs of dementia.
Yeah. So when my grandmother passed away from COVID.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so she was in the nursing home in Shenandoah and passed away from COVID when like COVID hit there. But for years after that, you could just see like there's nothing harder to lose than love.
Yeah,
like that.
Because they were probably
any physical pain.
cold time relationship.
Yeah, they were together forever.
High school.
Yeah, they were. And she started getting dementia and Alzheimer's. So like she was living with us, and something even harder for me, because now I'm conscious of what's going on. I'm not a little kid where people are hiding stuff from me. Like, I'm living with my grandmother for 4 years. I didn't have a conversation with her for 4 years because she couldn't talk. So all I knew is every day I came downstairs, she was watching the fucking Golden Girls constantly, like on the TV. And I'm like, hey, you need help? Like, I'd soften my voice every single time. Like, you want me to turn it up? You want me to turn it down? And she's just like, like she couldn't ever talk to me. And it ripped me apart because like now I'm living with my grandmother and she doesn't even know my name anymore. And I got to pass by her every day knowing that.
Yeah. And I just want to put in perspective, like I kind of want to zoom out here like a director, like a movie. On the same time you're doing this, once again, you're probably considered one of the popular kids in school.
Yeah, and that shit's hard because then I'm hiding it. I'm like, all the depression, suicidal thoughts, and anxiety I'm going through, that's not supposed to be me.
You still have to keep your status at school.
Yeah, exactly. That's not supposed to be me in the eyes of everyone else. So like, bottle it the fuck up. And then that's where it all hit me when I went to college. And then I'm attempting suicide, eating Xanax, like just trying to feel anything.
Yeah. And then you have a kid who's probably like, I don't like Matt because he's in the popular grade. He's getting all the girls.
And he was going through the same shit as me.
And you don't even realize it because we're both living in Monty City and we're both going through different shitty things. I don't know your life. You don't know mine. Yeah, I may have a social status, but we're both struggling here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's very insightful for people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And there's probably even today, like I'll go to like a bar and somebody will come up and be like, "Yo, Blackwell, the podcast, everything's good, great." And I'm like,
It feels so good.
I was like, dude, you fucking picked on me
Yeah.
most of my life. You know what I mean? Like one of the kids who was like a huge I don't want to say a huge bully. Like he didn't go out of his way to fuck with me, but like he was definitely somebody I feared. I was like, I don't want to fuck with that kid. He'll kill me.
Yeah.
Was Jesse Price. Like Jesse scared the shit out of me.
Mhm.
But the craziest thing is me and Jesse became very close later on after high school. And I remember having a conversation with him. I was like, dude, I didn't want to be your friend. He's like, why? I was like, because you're a fucking bully.
Yeah.
And I was like, you were kind of like, we knew everyone knows each other's family for the most part. Like maybe not everybody. Like a lot of people don't know stuff about my parents. Maybe people don't know a lot about your parents. Like they just know they split. They don't know the ins and outs of why. But for the most part, his whole family tree has been put out in Front Street. You know what I mean? Like everybody knew about him.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like, dude, you scared the shit out of me. And when I would like literally had a heart to heart with him because we were now as adults friends, but I'm kind of breaking down the constructs of what it was like going through as high school.
Mhm.
And I was like, dude, like you were a bully. I didn't like you. You picked on people. You were an amazing fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we're here friends and you're asking me for advice. It's weird.
But that could have, at that time of his life, it could have been a lot of resentment going back on what you just said. Like,
Absolutely.
why the fuck does everybody,
Because
you don't even know me and you look at me like this. Like
Exactly.
you never got that, you know my family name and you're going to judge me off of that.
So a lot of people, when they hear his name, a lot of people are like, oh, you know,
it's not even, it's,
yeah. Oh, he's now gone over a drug overdose.
Yeah.
Shocker. And it's just like, you didn't know that kid, man. Like,
and imagine if we, like, as a community could have fucking changed that.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Dude, this is not even a bullshit, not even a joke. He was here the night before he died. He was here in my house,
God, bro.
tears, telling me he wanted to make a change. Like he wanted to get away from the people he was. He seen me as a positive influence, and we were going to make a change. He wanted to get back into MMA. He wanted to get back in the gym. He wanted to do all that. He left here. I don't know who he talked to, what he did, scored a bag, put it in his arm, and he's no longer here. Like that fucked me up for a while. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those weird situations where you never know coming through school, you know, the kid that you may not have known ever is now your best friend. You know what I mean?
Well, that was me and Austin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wish me and Austin were friends earlier, but realistically, I was cool with Austin when Austin was going through what was going on with your parents.
Yeah.
I went up to him because it wasn't long after what happened with my parents. I was like, hey, I know that me and you aren't that close, but I get it.
I do remember.
I always got ears.
I do remember you guys bonded over that.
Yeah. And from there on out, it was like slowly building up a good friendship. And then within these last 3 years, it's like he's my fucking best friend.
He was. I relate. I even told him this. I won't say the name because I don't want to put anyone down to disparage people. But I had a best friend growing up. Me and this kid were like Marcus and Austin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Marcus and Austin aren't at this level anymore, but me and this kid were Marcus and Austin level. Like when we slept over, we slept in the same bed. Like none of that stuff was even thought about. We were fucking inseparable. But also, this kid was a 4.0 student. He had the academic friends. He was also super into sports, and he had another whole group of friends that didn't associate it with me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of fell into a different group. But we were still friends, but when we got to school, we weren't friends. It was one of those situations. And
because of social status.
Because of social status. But like when we weren't in school, he was at my house, I was at his house. But when we went to school, it's like we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And it was a weird dynamic.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah. And it's to the point where if I see the kid, I have nothing but love for him. But like there was like it was kind of like I was only your friend when my popular friends weren't around.
Yeah.
And I kind of like at first when he started hanging out with Marcus, I was like, hey man, I'll just give you a heads up, like just from personal experience. Like Marcus is a popular kid. And I know, and Austin was kind of the same thing with me. Like he hung out with some of the popular kids, but he also hung out with like some of the degenerates and some of the dirtballs, and some of the kids in the smaller grades and the kids that were like the nerds and stuff. So he was in the same boat as me, where we kind of just cast our wide net, where some people get caught up in like the lesser crowd, and then some of them in the popular crowd. And Austin kind of toed the line, but his in and out was Marcus.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And Marcus, no offense, was academically wasn't a superstar, but he was a superstar when it came to sports.
Yeah.
And his brother was a good athlete, not great academically, but great, so he kind of was pushed into another group, because of his academic because of his sports achievements. But it was kind of then when you guys bonded, I was like, oh, that's a different thing.
That's weird.
Yeah, because like you were more the popular kid taking on my little brother, and I was like, I respect that. And then when he told me that you guys were having conversations because your parents and his parents and all that, I was like, oh, like there's social. Like I'm older now, I see this. I broke this stuff down already. And I was like, oh, these kids are figuring shit out at a younger age.
Yeah. And I'm happy that we did that, but of course, I wish it was even sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to see. It was really cool. But well, let's finally, I guess, dive into a little bit of your music.
Yeah.
But no, I think everything we talked about is important because
I agree. That was
this is the bleeding effect into your music.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the artists that inspire you?
If you look at this tattoo right here, this is the XXX Tentacion album.
Yeah.
17.
See, Austin tried to get me into him, but I was like, all I knew him is he beat the shit out of his pregnant girlfriend.
Yeah. I don't know how true that is. I'll never know. But when I was at my lowest, like when I actually attempted to kill myself, I was listening to this 17 album in the background.
There's a band in the area called Look Alive.
Look Alive.
They're like a hard rock band.
Yeah.
And they do a cover of Sad.
Really?
That's really good.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I will check that out. But then ever since this night, I still struggle with, like, sometimes I'll wake up and be like, I don't want to fucking be here today. You know what I mean? Like, there's just, and it's something in me, like it's something psychological that I just can't get rid of.
It's like a 15-minute window you have to battle through.
Yeah, and it sucks. It's that 15 minutes feels like fucking hours. Like I'm just on the ground, just like eating punches to the fucking chest all day long. Like, so there's days that I'll wake up and be like, it's not worth it today.
You ever try meditation?
Yeah. When I make music.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna like literally go into a room, sit down, meditate, and go through stuff.
I actually, when I shower, I try to, or like I even take baths. I'll just lay there.
I'm a huge bath.
Oh my god. When did men get too tough and too big and too cool to take a bath?
Yeah.
You're fucking kill that status. That's not a thing.
Throw some Epsom salts in there.
Oh my god.
The bath bomb.
Jerk off real quick? No, I'm just kidding.
I definitely don't jerk off.
I don't jerk off in the bath. Don't quote me on that. I'm fucking kidding. But I'll just like, if you've never done this, you need to try it. You put your ears under the water and let the water run. So don't fill it up all the way.
Like white noise.
Yeah, I block everything out and I just try to exist in nothingness. And it feels so good. Like it's just so refreshing.
Yeah, I've taught myself my own form of meditation, which probably is incorrect, and there's probably better ways I can enhance it. I'm actually that.
Like I just take 15 shots.
Yeah,
of Jameson.
I sit in my nap. When other people on the outside, like my wife and stuff, see it, like they see I go taking a nap, but I can literally just sit there, close my eyes, and just put myself in a different headspace, and then I end up taking a nap, and then like I will wake up from my nap. And I felt like I slept for 3 days.
Really?
Yeah. But before I get to that nap phase is where I'm in my meditation phase.
Okay.
And I just unwind I usually go into that when I get in those windows of that 15-minute. I call it my 15 minutes of darkness, where you're like, that's the 15 minutes where I know because I've self-consciously made myself aware of my suicidal ideology. Where I was like, okay, this is the 15 minutes where it's do or die.
You can address it. Yeah.
Yes. And then I made myself aware of it. And the thing for me too is I outspoken. Like I told my wife, like, hey, I'm in a situation right now where I feel like I'm going to kill myself. And she's like, what? And
it's so good to have a person like for the longest time, I didn't have anyone to say that to. It sucks
because when you tell someone that, you're like, you think they're going to
vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. They think you're going to put you in a psych ward. And it's like, no, I just need someone to be aware of it.
Hear me.
To kind of, here's another crazy fucking thing with me that a lot of people don't know. I went out and bought a gun. Right. If my parents were gun owners, I wouldn't be here today. Because if I would have had access at a younger age before I knew how to deal with this, I would have 100% not be here today. But
if you say the same story I'm about to tell you after this.
So I went out and bought a gun. And that gun was not to learn for self-defense. It was not to carry around for anything. It was literally there as my break glass in case of emergency. But I bought it to condition myself that there it is, motherfucker.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Are you going to do it or not? So I literally bought the one thing that I knew was my easy ticket out to teach myself not to be in that situation.
You want to hear a fucking crazy story? So my mom almost got robbed by this dude that was on bath salts. I bought a gun just to feel safe.
Yeah.
I don't ever sleep without a gun next to me because I can't sleep without a gun next to me. It's just how my mind's wired. I'm constantly worrying. I took it to college with me. And when I was in this bad place, I was on Xanax. I ate about 3 Xanax, 4 Xanax, whatever. I'm drinking all night. And I put a 12-gauge shotgun in my mouth and pulled the trigger. I don't know if I didn't turn the safety off, but I heard the trigger click and it didn't go off. Initially, I was ready to go. Like, I don't know if it was the mix of the drugs and the alcohol where it was like I finally had the courage to actually do it. Like, I didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't see an end. It's hard to talk about, but I know it's worth talking about.
Mhm.
It fucking rips me apart to know that I was that weak at one point because I've come so far from that in 2 years.
I purposely knew, because I made myself very well aware of it, so I didn't like if I would have taken
I ignored
drugs,
it.
if I would have taken drugs and stuff, it would have definitely pushed me over the limit. I drink a lot. A lot of people think I have a drinking. There was probably a point in time where I did have a drinking problem, but I also used
no problem drinking.
Yeah, no problem drinking. But I would also, my drinking for me was also, it was more or less a pain pill, because every time I go to the doctor with my disorder, it's like, oh, we'll put you on Xanax and all these different pain pills. I was like, nope, not doing that. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'll just go to the bar. I'll put 2 or 3 beers in me, and then I won't feel my body anymore.
Yeah.
And then next day I'll just deal with it.
And that's kind of toxically where I am now. But at this point, like, I was on horse tranquilizers.
Yeah.
I was taking horse tranquilizers, Xanax, mixing it with alcohol with a gun in my mouth.
Yeah.
I was low, dude. Like,
yeah.
bad.
I actually took that gun, I sold it, and I bought the upgrade to my podcast to give me better microphones.
Best decision you probably made.
Yeah. But I bought it
because you tackled that already.
I tested myself with it.
Yeah.
Like, I can honestly say right now, I think when it comes to my suicidal ideology, and it's the first time I can say this since I'm 11 years old, like, I don't stress that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. And it's
I still fight with it every day.
This is the first year of my entire, actually this 2000 to 2021 is the first year in a long time that I can honestly say I didn't suffer from seasonal depression.
Oh, when the weather changes, I'm a whole new person.
Yeah.
It's like there's 4 of me in me.
I'm very confident in where I'm becoming mentally. I still have breaks. Like, I go to work and I kind of snap out.
That's human, though.
You know what I mean?
That's just human.
But I as I break, I become more aware that I broke, and I'm like, and I go up to the people like,
you get a grip quicker.
Yeah. And I talk shit, but when I talk shit, it's not so much like I hate that person. Like, this motherfucker right here is a piece of shit. They're fucking not doing nothing. And then as soon as I say it, I'm like, I'm sorry I put that on you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were there for me to get it out. Don't take that I really hate that person. That was just me getting it out of my system, and I'm moving on with my life.
My coworker L, literally last night at 2 a.m., I'm doing dishes. My shift's about to be in, and she came in. She's like, I just need someone to listen to me. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm in music to help people. So if I don't have to fucking rhyme to help someone, thank God.
Yeah.
Like, so she just rattled off everything she needed to talk about. We ended up relating on a lot of things. And she ended up sending me a text message actually last night, like 3 a.m. Once I was home. It was just like,
thank you.
You have no idea how much I needed that. Thank you so much for listening. A lot of people brush me to the side. And I'm like, I'll never do that to anyone. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And the only way that I know how to do that is music. But then there's these in-between times where people just come up to me and it's like, I can do that without having to spend money on studio time.
So the song that we used for our promo for this, Rainfall.
Yeah.
Now I think a lot of the story of what we talked about here subconsciously that you didn't even know you were going to have.
Yeah.
I think people can dissect that and break that down and be like, oh, that's the lyrics for Rainfall.
Yeah, if you
talk about
listen to the
anxiety,
Rainfall,
your grandfather,
exactly.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Rainfall, that's the step that I'm taking with my music right now. It's like, I'm not trying to make a hit. I'm trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
I do it for myself and someone out there that, like, that kid who's on drugs with a fucking gun in his mouth, who can know that.
It's funny that you're adapting into emo music, because that was for me, that was my.
It's not a stage, Mom.
It's not a phase. Yeah, it's not a phase. It's not a phase.
It's not a phase.
Emo for life. That was me too. I was an emo kid. I just didn't paint my eyes black.
Dude, I'll never paint my nails. I don't know. I don't get why rappers do that. Like, do you see that?
Yeah.
Do you see what I see?
I wouldn't mind it.
I can't.
Like black nail polish, dude. I wear black skinny jeans all the time. I'm halfway there.
I'm in them right now with the wrist.
So am I, with the holes in the knees.
Gotta.
Yeah, I'm the 34-year-old grown ass fat dude wearing skinny jeans. It's funny how culture just kind of stays there.
Isn't it weird how with fashion it just comes out, and then a decade, 2 decades later, it's back.
I wish I was in the hair era of the 80s.
What was the hairstyle?
Like spandex fucking hair. Like, did you ever see yourself in like a Snapchat filter with eyeliner? Dude, I fucking look pretty decent with eyeliner on.
Did you see the Snapchat filter that has like the neck tattoo, the face tats, the nose piercing?
Yeah.
I'm like, I took a video one night, put it on my Snapchat story. I was like, you guys all joke about this until you really fucking see me like this. Like,
Yeah.
I like how
Dude,
I look
if
at
I can
this.
get
Like,
paid, if I can get paid to the point where I can quit my normal 9-to-5 job and do this as a living,
Yeah.
I will look like Post Malone because like
a spear on you, you'll do a knife on your face.
I don't
It's a
give
knife.
fuck, bro.
I want to get a face tat. I'm not even, I know I can't do it right now,
I hate
and
getting
everybody
tattooed.
tells me not to, but I want one tattoo right here under my eye.
Don't do it.
Everybody tells me
Yeah,
that,
don't
but
do
I'm
it.
like, I think I want to do. It's more so just like, it's just a fuck you to what I'm supposed to look like. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
I
it's
get
just
that, but like
that's all it is.
posted
I feel like
after
it's a
he became
stage.
famous, and he's like, well, if I tattoo my face now, there's no going back.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. What makes me want to do it right now is I know I have to work a regular job right now. Like, I bust my ass doing a job that I do not want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, you ever see the Little Peep documentary?
No.
He tattooed his face before he got famous because he's like, if I walk into a job interview, I don't want to get it because this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah, that's a ball.
And that's how I feel, but I know that's not me yet. Like, I can't afford to do that right now.
This is the year for me where I'm making an honest push of this. Like, I want this to blow up.
Same.
But I want to blow up because going back to my joint disorder, I don't know what the future holds for me.
Yeah,
like, my body's a time bomb. I may be in a wheelchair at some point. I may not be able to do a physical factory job. I don't know what holds. So I'm literally just riding it till the wheels fall off.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I became aware of that. If I dwell on that, then I become depressed and I'm back to where I was before. So for me, this podcasting thing is like, it's I want to get good at it now and do this. But if I get popular and get famous and get exposure, my whole goal is to uplift where I'm from. So if I can turn around and say, hey, there's a really cool business in our area. We have a really good artist. We have a really good musician. We have a really good this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring stuff to this area. I want to show that this area is
not many people are doing that too.
Yeah, this area to me is more than when you drive through Monty City and say, oh, this is
look at this piece of
abandoned houses, drugs, everyone's on heroin and meth, and people are like, yeah, a lot of my friends are dead from overdoses or suicide or this or that. But there's people who are still here that are fucking very talented and very creative and have gone through amazing things, and amazing stories have come from this. And it's amazing what
you can't
people have
succeed
gone
without
through.
adversity.
Yeah, and like when I started this podcast, it was more or less to have people come tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you were here to talk about your music and stuff, but we broke down more of your story barrier. And that's what I wanted to get into more, because I think becoming vulnerable, like listening to Howard Stern and Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
like the big breakthrough for me was Miley Cyrus. I was like, fuck Miley Cyrus. She's some entitled little fucking brat who,
and it's not like that
right?
at all.
And then you listen to her interview in Howard Stern, and he broke her down, and she told all her struggles, and so and I was like, I'm a Miley Cyrus fan. You know what I mean? And I was like, dude, she's a real person. So I think when you break down business owners,
people forget that about famous people too.
Yeah, even not even famous people. Like, dude, this is not even a bullshit. I won't say what business owner it was, but there's a business owner in Monty City who's seen me walk into Dollar General with, I believe, Austin or my wife, and looked at me and goes, "What are you doing in Dollar General?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes,
"Getting my shit, bitch."
And he's like, "You're on fucking YouTube. You're this podcaster. Like, you're making all this." I'm like, "I don't make anything.
Nothing. I make nothing off my music right now.
You know what I mean? But people see you because I'm like, any schmuck could be on fucking YouTube.
Yeah.
Just make an account.
If you look it up right now, 5th grade me does the Tonto dance on YouTube. I'm not even kidding.
It's
like a 30-second video.
Yeah.
My first YouTube video.
But it's just like, I think people see, like, a lot of people see that because I grind, I hustle. So a lot of people might see you the same way. Like, oh, you're grinding, your hustle, your music's doing well. But it's like, no, I could still use some help. Like, help me with a share. Like, let people know I'm doing this. Like, the only way people like us get ahead is if we pay into a system.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
we don't realize that the small people can help small people grow.
Bigger than you would think.
It doesn't take much to hit a share button. It doesn't take much to hit a like on a page, because if you get enough likes on a page, regardless if you're paying in the system or not, or if you're already famous, if you get
people ride waves. Once you see that, they're like, oh, what did I miss? What is right around the corner from me that I didn't see? And that's what I can't wait for, because I know this shit's going to work out for me with music.
Same here.
And I can't wait for people to be like, oh, dude, I believe in you. From like, get the fuck away from me. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't believe in me.
I have 6 people who donate, and who own my t-shirts and who own this. So it's like 4 years, like, yo, you're blowing up. Like, I have people come to me all the time, like, yo, you're doing that podcast thing. I was like, yeah. Like, what's your favorite episode? Well, I never really listen. I just see your posts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? You acknowledge that you've seen it on your timeline, and I appreciate that. But like, you can hit share.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, like me personally, I see someone that doing some cool shit, or they open up a business, share.
Yeah.
I made a community page, the Interviews 30 People community page. If I see some cool people in our area doing cool shit, I share it on there, because there's over 1.2K like on that.
Yeah.
And are all 1,000 people paying attention? Maybe not. But if 3 people see it and it inspires them, then cool. That was the overall goal, you know?
That's actually what I just said before this. I was like, I don't know how many people are watching this, how many people will check it out, but if one person understands me better, if one person goes to check out my music, it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like
I've done podcasts in the early stages with this where it's like, hey, I'm going to have this person and they're complete strangers. Now, I wouldn't say we're strangers, but I think we have a better understanding of each other after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of this is the stuff I've seen just being in the same town and knowing each other's stories a little bit and understanding more. And there's probably 1,000 more that we could have got into, but I'm saving people's image and I'm saving people's story because there's more. We probably know more about each other than we're even letting on in this microphone. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And we could easily fucking go on a dirt sheet and fucking expose people and tell people they're assholes, but that we're not going to dwell on negativity.
Yeah.
We're gonna find common ground what we did, and we're gonna build each other up from it. But when it comes to this, I've had people in the past in the podcast who come on the show and I get a message. You're gonna have them on your podcast? You know that they did X, 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 and Y, and Z? And I was like, no, I didn't. And they're like,
but maybe we'll get into it.
And then I said, well, maybe you should listen. Maybe you'll find out why they went through X, X, Y, and Z. And I've had numerous times where it's the same person who was trying to diminish and take down.
Wow,
the person.
I didn't know that.
I didn't, and then would go up to them in public and be like, "Your story was amazing."
Yeah.
There was a girl on here who suffered from a lot of mental stigmas, and she was going through a lot. And when people would see her, they thought she was on drugs. She never took a drug in her life. She just went through. So she was going through a lot of shit. She came on the show, she talked, and then afterwards, people were like, "Dude, I'm sorry for even judging you."
Yeah.
And I want to break that barrier because in this small coal region town, Monty City, Shenandoah, this area, we see people on the street and we'll watch someone suffer and go through it. But because it's not your friend, it's not your family, you fucking cast them aside and be like,
push it aside, like
fuck it.
Kicking dirt on the street.
Exactly. But then you listen to their story and you're like, I like that person more because they were willing to open up.
Yeah.
I want more people to open up. I want people to tell their stories. I want people to be accepted more.
That's the thing. What I went through is a burden I bear so other people don't have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would rather make myself vulnerable so someone else who is vulnerable privately feels like they can. It's a domino effect. So once that person feels like they can tell their story, they might help someone that I could never come in contact with. Just since I started making music, I've had 2 people tell me that when they think about killing themselves, with the music I've released, it might not be like, don't kill yourself music, but they're like, I put it on just because like you're doing what you want to do and it makes me happy. It gets me away from those suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
And
you could definitely feel your pain through your music.
Yeah, I try to anyway.
Yeah. There's a few things that I'm just like, oh.
I know. Well, I'm not overly proud of anything.
The newer generation, a lot of you guys have to do like I call it the Megan Thee Stallion, where they're like in between in the beginning of every song, and it becomes like the calling card of how you start. Like it's like, hey, it's me. It's Yeddi. Like we know. I hit play. I know I'm listening to it. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the newer generation. That's just my older generation listening to newer music. Be like, just delete that first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't diminish the rest of the song for me, but listening to it, it's like, okay, I can definitely see where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think some people have a hard time, like people who don't like rap and hip hop, like I like rock music. You know what I mean? But people who listen to a certain genre they can easily identify and pull apart the lyrics and dissect them and find out what it means to them. And if they don't understand the genre, they're like, oh, I don't really know rap, so it's hard for them to dissect the lyrics.
But I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think today, even if someone didn't listen to your music and they hear your story today, I think they can go into your music now, listen to it and be like, oh, yeah, this is something he struggled with for a long time.
If I can tell anybody who's listening, if you want to hear what we talked about, Rainfall, that's the one to listen to.
And it's like what, a minute 37-second song, or
it's 47? It's really short. It has no hook. It's a freestyle, just me. It was the first time publicly I tried to tell my story.
Was down by the high school?
No, the video for it? That was in Nesquehoning.
It was in Nesquehoning?
Yeah, it was just on a random street in Nesquehoning.
Railroad Street.
I knew you were going to say it did kind of look like Railroad Street, but no, Brendan Bug, Bug Productions, definitely check him out. He does all my videos for me, and he lives in Nesquehoning. So we went there, and he's like, I have a street that's perfect for it. And I want to keep my videos simple and let the music speak for it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I don't want to take
There's
away
a lot of
from
people who do videography in this area. I know a lot of musicians that I think you should probably reach out to. Like, I know there's you already said Harry Collins.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that kid. His cousin, Billy Trey, is really talented. very talented musician, can play guitar, and he helped produce.
And I want to start bringing live music, like live instruments, into my music.
Yeah,
because these beats are fucking expensive. Dude.
You and Miss Lely can work together.
Yeah,
I think that'd be interesting to see. There's a lot of music talent in this area. A lot more rappers than you think in this area. I think just recently I had you, Tyrus, and Lely. And Tyrus is a kid from Pottsville who raps. Like there's a lot of people in this area, and you guys can link up and work together. Because I think they're all good people too. How you were saying before, like, do I experience in podcasting where people see me as a threat? It's 100% a thing. There's podcasts I work with that act like my friend, but I know behind closed doors they don't want the best for me.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate that I've met really good people. Like the wrestling side of things. Like I met this kid named Alex Watt, and he's a godsend, man. The kid's amazing, and like he's doing his own thing and starting his own wrestling company and his own podcast network. But like his network and my network are hand in hand.
They coexist.
We help each other. Like he helps me on my show, and then I do a show on his network. You know what I mean? So there's podcasts that I'm a part of that's not even on my network. You know what I mean? And that's cool because now I'm becoming known as like a podcaster, which is exciting. You know?
Yeah.
Like I can't rap, I can't play instruments, I can't play basketball anymore, but I feel like I'm decent at talking.
You know? You're very good at what you do.
But I'm not overeducated. I'm not super smart, but I feel like I can address points. And
this alone was an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, I keep what I do in this area with like school. I want to keep my roots. Like I think when people listen to this, they can relate this as a school county conversation.
Yeah,
and if someone
trigonometry never saved a life.
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't know, like even growing up, man, I suffer from like stutter. I stuttered. I had a bad stutter growing up. I have dyslexia. Like,
really?
Like sometimes on the podcast when I'm starting to challenge myself more with it. So like on our other shows, like Not Cool in High School, we just did an episode on the Leprechaun movies. So I'll do like a write up, or I'll pull from Wikipedia and read about it. But I have even growing up in school, I had a hard time reading to a class or reading out loud. Now I'm reading into a microphone where possibly thousands can listen to me. So I fumble because when I read, I see things backwards. I have to teach myself to see.
I can't imagine what that's like.
It's weird.
I bet.
I believe Stika has a form of it.
Stika does have it.
And his brother had it too.
And Stika used to get made fun of for reading in front of classes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to.
And he never told anybody, like, yo, I don't see it how you see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking imagine trying to read with words backwards.
Yeah. And people diminish your intelligence for it, but it's just like actually so I'm pretty much just trying to put myself. I put all of my insecurities and faults and faults on Front Street. Like here it is. You don't like it, but I'm not hiding from who I am. Like in my past I did X, Y, and Z. So cancel culture. Try your best. You know what I mean? Like
that's one of my biggest fears. Is I'm like I'm gonna work my ass off for 10 years, blow up, and they're gonna cancel me over a tweet when I was 14 that I don't even remember.
Yeah,
like it happens. It's so toxic too.
But
like
the thing with cancel culture, you're only canceled if you allow yourself to be canceled.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just like if you just come out and own it, like hey, like I made it like not a joke, but I make the comment like if you grew up in School County and didn't use racial or homophobic slurs, then
that's what I'm saying. Like
I
grew up like
saint.
I have gay family members. I have several gay family members. When I was growing up. That's fucking gay.
Yeah, the way you made fun of your friends was using homophobic slurs. Yeah. And then we grew up on like, oh, that's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
But it's also really hard to rewrite your vocabulary. You know what I mean?
I was just talking to my girlfriend before. I said, I really need to cut the word retarded out of my vocabulary.
100%.
Like I'm like,
same here.
But it was never like diminishing to anybody who struggled with anything like that. If something was stupid growing up, it was just like, oh, that's retarded.
Yeah. But then, like for me, I was the same way. It was the F word. That's not fuck. For homophobic slur. Yeah. Or no. The fag. If they're calling something a fag or gay or say like that's gay, that stop being a fag. I was like, well, what harm is that? I'm not meaning it.
At that point, it's not. But not that.
But then you get older and you're realizing that maybe you had a friend growing up or a kid that was in school with you
that might have been gay,
who were gay, but everything you associated with negativity or stupid or not good or it was like, oh, well, I'm definitely not coming out because everything they refer to as a negative connotation is what I am.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, maybe I didn't mean that those words meant something negative, but to them, I'm not letting someone come up in the world. And I was like, I need to change the way I say things. And I'm not.
Who am I to hold someone
I'm not
back?
changing it to be like, oh, you're a person who's buying into the system, and you're not saying it because you're being told. It's like no, because I understand.
I don't want to put anyone down.
Exactly. I want everyone to have a fucking shake at this. You know what I mean? And there are some times where I will still laugh at racist stereotypes because sometimes
I laugh at white ones too, though.
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like
I watch South Park.
exactly.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. But do I legit feel that people should be held down by it? No, not at all. But I think sometimes putting stuff on the front street in the form of comedy is a healthy way of getting through things as well.
Mhm.
And it's a healthy way of acknowledging that they even exist. Like I wouldn't even known about half the stuff that I'm learning about it if it wasn't for a show like Family Guy or
Yeah.
but also if someone who doesn't dive into the message as well, like why is that funny?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny because
Canceled.
they're actually bringing light to it. Well,
Yeah.
if they're bringing light to it, that means there's a problem. You know what I mean? Now we should work on the problem. But you can still make light of it to address something. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
No, it makes
It-
100%
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, growing up, I was a 90s, 2000s.
What year were you born?
86. So
86,
yeah, I was in 90s,
okay.
2000s. All I listened to was angry white boy music. Eminem, System of a Down, Korn,
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit. Everything was like F the world, let's burn it down, F this, F that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was a interesting way of, and now like the next generation, like we're canceling all that. It's like, what? Okay.
Did you see they just tried to cancel Eminem? You can. That's literally if there's one person
Over
in
the
the world who
Rihanna
doesn't give
song.
a fuck. Is that what? I didn't dive into it.
The
I don't know what
love,
it was.
I love the way you lie. That's a song that they pulled apart, and they're like, that's the
What,
one we're
because
gonna.
he said I tired of the bed and like the house on fire or what?
I guess because there's like domestic dispute. And that's not. I'm like, you should go back and listen to his
Listen
first
to
album.
Kim.
Yeah.
Go listen to the song Kim.
Or brain damage.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Cancel culture would fall apart.
His album cover,
Jesus.
his first album cover was him and his daughter on a boardwalk with his wife's dead body in the trunk.
Yep.
And you're attacking the Rihanna song.
Do your homework. Cancel culture.
Yeah. I think my favorite one today that I read recently was the Pepe Le Pew one. Like, do I think Pepe should be canceled for the way his character is portrayed? Sure. Like I think his character should be revamped, not just
Yeah.
get rid of. Like,
Did you see someone said, so you canceled Pepe Le Pew,
we're canceling Miss Piggy?
but not what's it called? No, who's the old dude from Family Guy?
Oh, Herbert the Pervert.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think he's made to bring light on it.
Yeah,
Like, to
exactly.
kinda
But
show,
people
like-
they don't see that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like addressing it through humor is a beautiful way to attack a topic, but not like sand down the edges, the
Yes.
sharp edges.
The big thing is they want to cancel Miss Piggy now
For why?
because she physically and emotionally attacks Miss Kermit and everyone around her. But it's one of those things where it's
You know people like that though.
yeah. But I think the reason they're doing it is like I think because the people who are like the lead of the culture is like feminist women who are like, oh, Eminem is a piece of shit and Pepe Le Pew's a male rapist and males are the worst. And it's like, well, Miss Piggy beats the shit out of Kermit and treats him like shit and tells him he's worthless. And so it's like a tit for tat thing.
Yeah.
Like what's the big thing now? The super straight, where people are like, I'm super straight. You ever seen that?
I've never heard that.
That's a new thing I'm not researching, but I'm learning about now. Where I guess people are saying if you're trans, I'm a trans woman and you're a straight male, and if you don't find me attractive, there's something wrong with you. Listen, if you're a trans female and you look attractive, my DNA is designed to think women are attractive. I'm attracted to who I'm attracted to. I don't think you're born. I think you're born gay. I think you're born trans. I'm
I
down
think
for
so
all
too,
that.
Yeah.
But also, if I am born straight, or heterosexual male, and you look good as a female, and then we get to the bedroom and you don't have the same parts that I'm attracted to, I think I have the right to like,
I'm not putting a dick in my mouth.
I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that's for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you're beautiful, but I think when it comes to the thing,
If it makes you happy, do what you want.
absolutely,
You ever who said? Oh, it was Dave
we'll
Chappelle.
probably
He
get
said.
canceled for
He
that. One.
said, "Everybody fucks funny to someone."
Absolutely.
Like everybody fucks funny to someone.
Everyone has a weird kink.
Yeah.
We don't kink shame here.
Yeah.
Do you, boo boo? I have a friend who's gay that when he does his makeup, he fucking looks good, and I'm like, dude, you're fucking hot. You know what I
You're
mean?
like,
But-
I'm straight, but I would fuck you right now.
yeah, if you had a vagina, I would ruin you. You know what I mean? Like, but well, when it comes down, like I think people just don't want to hear each other out. I think what it comes down to, like, and everyone because of the cancel culture.
They're gonna cut clips from this interview, and we're done.
Yeah, that's fine. But I think the overall thing of it, you can always chop something up to make it look negative. But I think the overall conversation is no one wants to have a legit conversation. It becomes a tit for tat game. Like, well, you think our thing is bad, so we're gonna make it. So we're gonna make something to diminish what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like it's cancel culture is almost a setback in the terms of, like you just said before, you believe in second chances. This is like you fuck up one time. We're humans.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna fuck up.
Everyone
one
should
time.
learn. Like, listen, if you rape, murder, or you're a pedophile, sure. Like, I think your second chance should be harder for you to bounce back from. I think you really have to prove yourself. Like,
Yeah.
for me anyway, you have to legit show strides that you're making a change. Here's my example I use all the time. What do you think about Mike Tyson? Does he inspire you?
No,
Not at all. Like, you don't think the fact that he was like this scumbag?
I don't know his a big part of his story though.
Yeah, so he was a straight up monster who probably the greatest boxer of all time. But now when you listen to people, like, he talks about meditation, he talks about healing, he talks about doing good things. But he's convicted of rape. He raped a person. He
Really?
100% said, "I did it." Like, I'm not proud of it, but like, but if we did, like, but also he's also famous, so people give him a second chance. But if you're some Joe Nobody who lives on, Center Street of Monty City, your life's over.
See, and that's so fucked up in your head because I'm like, okay, but that's Mike Tyson. Unforgivable what he did, but like, I disagree because these people that I've seen people who did terrible things that did bounce back, where it's like, okay, second chance, great job, but the whole rape thing with me, it's just, I think about my little brother, like,
it's tough to forgive.
I don't think I ever could.
Yeah, and
I have friends that have been gone through that, and I'm like, if I was ever in a room with that person, I knew I'd get away with it. I don't think they'd breathe again.
Yeah, dude, I'm someone who was a victim of it myself as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. And it was one of those things where I didn't know I went through it until I was like 28 years old. Like, it was a repressed memory.
And then it came back.
And I was like, oh fuck, that's what happened there. One of those deals. But
so you with who went through that?
It was a neighbor when I was a kid. Like,
so
I was
that neighbor, you think he deserves a second chance?
I see. Once again, when he did it, he was also like young too, like he wasn't even a teen yet.
Yeah.
So someone did something.
What happened to him?
Exactly. So that's where my empathy kicks in. It was like, sure, I think what they did.
That overly empathetic. I'm the same way. It's just like,
I think what happened to that person could have led. It's like a ripple effect. If you cast a rock into a pond, and I know people who listen to episodes, I use this analogy a lot. If you cast a rock into a pond, it creates a ripple effect, and that ripple effect or a butterfly effect can ripple into many, many, many different things. So when I see someone who has murdered somebody or has done that, I think their action is unforgivable, and I don't think we should ever forget it. And I don't think they should forget it either. But I also think that they should have the opportunity to build off it. Mm-hmm. Now, you're always, no matter what you do in life, you're always going to be the villain in someone's story, right? Exactly. So what they did to that person, that's up to that person to forgive them. But I do think
those people don't forgive themselves a lot of times too.
Absolutely, and I think what they go through is horrible. You know what I mean? And I think as society we should focus and help them people as well, because they're going through some fucked up shit. Because there's people who go through that and get treated worse than the person who did it to them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's fucked up. I just think social constructs just need to be rethought, like the way we handle things. But a lot of people we're all a bunch of people who can't figure out our own shit, trying to help other people figure out.
And that says a lot about you. Like, first of all, I'm sorry that you had to fucking go through that.
I mean, it's not even trauma to me because it was something that I didn't realize happened until later on in life. So it's not even something I dwell on.
But still, like, people get, he had to have gone through something.
Yeah, and that was my that's the way I look at it. Like, if that kid walked into this room right now, I wouldn't even know if I would visually recognize him.
Yeah.
But it was the thing that when it went like, now that I'm older and I realize something like that went down, I was like, oh, he probably got fucked with, and then he didn't know any better, and then he was passed to get.
That's all he knew.
It's like a bully. A bully in school. A bully in school is literally one step away from being the worst thing on the planet. A murderer, a rapist, anything. Because the only reason they're lashing out on the people underneath them is because they're finding a weaker target.
Yeah.
But depending on how.
See, I was never that kid with like we were saying before, my social standard that I had. It was never. I never went at other people. Like, when I was really young, I picked on kids. Yeah. I'm not proud of it. I wish I didn't.
There was times where I think I definitely picked on kids because I also joined the group where they were the bullies, but they weren't like some of them were jock bullies, but most of them were like the degenerate bad kid bullies where they didn't have much of a future and people just kind of let them be their own devices. Yeah. Because the thing with our school too, I don't know if it's still like that in Money area. You had your academic kids, and then you take all the kids who were bad and throw them all in one class.
And then they're like, this class is so bad. Yeah, why the fuck do you think it's so bad?
You're just throwing
group them all.
Yeah, you put the worst of the worst in one, and then you take a kid who's not very academically
and then the teachers
smart.
Are eating erasers to the back of the head. I might have been in a few of those classes. Yeah.
Oh, I was definitely in those classes. But I was also a kid who didn't apply myself in school because if I wasn't interested in a topic, I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I also didn't fit in with the academic kids, and they didn't have that middle ground for me. So I just got thrown into, and I wasn't a bad kid. I was actually the kid who got picked on, and they would take me and throw me in with the kids who would pick on me.
Which sucks because, like, it sucks that you group kids like that, but what's the best way to group kids? You know
weird.
What I mean? Like, how do you tackle that? Because, like, I was in what they would say is the second smartest class.
Yeah.
And I was intelligent enough to be in the top section, but I didn't apply myself because I was like, I don't fucking what am I ever going to use algebra for?
And you're also putting 90% of your free time instead of into the books, you're putting into sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shoveling courts off snow.
Yeah.
Not doing homework.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do my homework in homeroom before class, like
Or
right before
hey,
class.
Can you fucking fill this out? Like,
Yeah.
Hey, cheerleader, fill this out for me so I can fucking go play.
Bree and Michaela, thank you for helping me graduate. Like literally.
I had a few of those kids too. But I'm sorry we didn't dive too much into the music, but you can check out his music below. I think what we got through here is important.
It's more insightful.
Yeah. What is your future when it comes to music? What are some goals you have?
One of the biggest goals that I have is I want to start, like I said to you before we started, I want to be able to make my own beats eventually, make my own music, because that's the most expensive part of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest goal that I have is I want to be able to, I don't need to be the richest person. I don't need to be the most famous. I don't need to make the best music. I want to pay my bills doing what I love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a simple man. I don't need much. I don't wear designer clothes. I don't want designer clothes. Like
wrestling t-shirts and
yeah, like graphic tees.
The only reason I wear the clothing brand,
I only thrift shop.
Yeah, the reason I wear the name brand stuff I'm wearing is because I work for the company.
Yeah,
and I get really good discount.
I wear name brand shoes. That's it. Because I like my Jordans and Vans.
I just like Adidas. I'm an Adidas.
Really?
Yeah.
They're the most comfortable.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's nice. But I'll wear dog shit shoes if they look funny.
These are beaters that I have on right now.
Yeah,
big beaters.
Thrift shopping's fun though.
I love it because you never know what you're gonna run into.
I have the entire Space Jam jersey collection that I got from a thrift shop. Yeah. It's my pride and just. I actually just bought a jersey. I put a post of it. I was so proud of it. I bought it like one of those DH gates where you get it from China.
Yeah.
And it came.
Where they send you like a pack, right? If you don't know what you're gonna get.
No. I definitely picked the jersey. I always wanted a creamsicle Tampa Bay Bucks jersey, and I got like a color variant version of it, which I thought looked cool. Like instead of being the white lettering, it's like the dark orange and red. But when I ordered it, it was supposed to put the Super Bowl patch on it. So I literally ordered it before the Super Bowl started. And I was like, I'm ordering a Tom Brady creamsicle jersey. And if he loses, then I'm stuck with the fucking Super Bowl patch, right?
Well bought, though.
I bought it. He dominated. They sent me the fucking jersey and put Kansas City's AH patch on the fucking.
No, they didn't.
So I have a misprint fucking Tampa Bay jersey.
That's kind of cool, though.
It is kind of cool, but I'll never wear it. I'm like, why is the Kansas? I made a because I don't know much about other. Like, I'm a Washington fan. That's all I follow. Yeah. But I respect other teams and other teams' jerseys and colors, and I'm a jersey collector. So I wore it, and the guy's like, "Yo, idiot, you're wearing a fucking jersey with a Kansas City patch on it."
Like,
I was like,
"Oh shit." Flipped it.
I'm taking this off. But yeah, so you want to make beats, you want to get in it. I think you and Harry would be a cool little collaboration.
Yeah, I speak to him a lot. But even above those two goals, the biggest thing I want to do is just help people.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, that one kid that went through what I went through, even if it's only one, I've put in. Yeah, pudding. I eat pudding. Yeah. No, I put. So I can't even tell you how many hours I put into this. I just said pudding again. That's ridiculous.
The 10,000 hour club.
Yeah, like I deliver pizzas for a living, literally.
You're a professional driver.
I'm a professional driver. I'm preparing for my profession. I'll be in NASCAR one day.
Well, here's a question: when you listen to music, is it tough for you to listen to someone that inspires you, but not try to pull stuff from them?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll write stuff. I'm like, oh, that's basically what this dude said.
Yeah.
Take it out.
I tried to get into music and writing and rapping and stuff because I was always into it.
Yeah.
So there's a point in time where I was trying to teach myself how to sing, and like I was trying to teach myself R&B and then rock and every genre, and then I was also writing. But when I would write, I'm like, oh, I'm just repeating what Chester's saying, like, but I'm also repeating what Mike should know because I was a huge Linkin Park fan.
But that's awesome because that's a reflection of they did their fucking job very well.
Yeah, like even podcasting, everyone's like, oh, do you listen to Joe Rogan? I was like, nope, and they're like, why? I said because obviously, like my camera angle is similar to Rogan's. Like the way I do things is similar to that.
But you pull your motivation from internal, other than picking from other people.
When I say my viewpoints on things, like there's been times where even like the conversation we had there about like cancel culture, I'll say what I feel. Now, I'm not dead set in the way I feel about things either. If you have a conversation with me, you can probably talk me out of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm open minded to learn different ways of thinking. But I'll listen to like somebody will send me a clip of Rogan, like, oh, you're just repeating what he said. And I was like, honestly, I don't watch it. I never listened to that episode, so I didn't even get that from there. So like the two people who influenced me was Kevin Smith, Joe Rogan, and Howard Stern. I don't even listen to them at all anymore.
That's how I kind of am with music. Like I was saying before, I'm always telling people like, hey, send me music because I'm not looking for it anymore because I'm just constantly writing my own. Like if I work an 8-hour shift, I'm driving, professional driver, doing the speed limit. Like I'm listening to beats all day. And I'm not a good freestyle rapper. Like off the top, I can't. if you wanted to play a beat right now and you were like, rap, it's not what I do because I can do it. I can make words rhyme off the top easily, but it's not what I want. It doesn't get my message across.
Exactly. I think people who freestyle, that's when
you're just talking.
They come into that construct where it's like, oh, this is what I know people want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
Rap, where when you write, you're like, no, this is coming from me.
And doing that off the top, being able to portray your message, especially one like what I'm trying to say, is fucking difficult to do off the top because it's a hard thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because and you have to put it in analogies and kind of chop it down to fit the flow of the song. Definitely, it's crazy. Yeah, I honestly, I think you reach out, try to collab with some people. I think I
actually have 2 features coming out right now. It's with Jay, who is my engineer, and Bodie Blanco. We just finished a song up. He's going to be dropping that one soon. So
nice.
I'm pretty excited for those coming out. I leave for Colorado on Sunday. I go there for a week tomorrow. I'm there for a week. And as soon as I get back, I'm still working as hard as I've been, but I'm not doing it in the proper manner because December was the last time I dropped a song, and that's unacceptable in my opinion.
Maybe not though, because sometimes. So for me, when I first started this, I did 5 podcasts. I did one every day, almost a different show, but I did a podcast every day.
Really?
And then it got to the point where people were like, man, I really like your show, but
I'm not tuning in.
But I'm not
many times
because I feel like I fall behind and it's hard to keep up with everything. So I was like, interesting. Like my work ethic wants me
trial and error.
Yeah. My work ethic. I have the work ethic and the drive that I would record every day if I had the opportunity, but I had to dial it back because I have to because a 2-hour podcast is not an easy listen. And then some people listen on the way from work and then on the way home to work. So, or they can take a podcast that's 2 hours and break it up throughout the week through their drive to work, their commute to work. So, I had to teach myself to like, okay, I do 5 shows, but now every Friday out of those 3, I just rotate to 3 shows. So
smart.
If you listen to the Not Cool in High School and that's what you're into, you have almost a month or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks before the next one comes out so you can get caught up. So sometimes your work ethic and your output can be good or bad depending on how much you put out. Because if you put out 100 songs, then people are like,
see, I want to find that middle ground though, because we're in March right now. So it's been 3 months since I dropped anything. And a good time, in my opinion, would be like, at first I was like, I want to drop a song every week, which with a song, that's only consuming 2 to 3 minutes of your time. It's easier to do that with a song, as opposed to a podcast.
I agree.
But I need to at least have a song out every month, just so I'm constantly in people's ears. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to overpost, you don't want to underpost. Like you got to find that middle ground. And I'm still trying to figure that out.
It is really cool. Just from someone who creates as well. And I wish I had the same thing as you had, is like where you're like people are sending you videos of their car, like a girl in a car.
I literally just posted one today.
And or you're at a party and everyone's jamming out to your song at a party. It's just like, that's dope, man. Like someone sends me a picture of them with my fucking stupid face on their shirt or wearing a mask or wearing one of our merch. And it's like, it's awesome.
Uplifting.
Yeah, it's like thank you. You know what I mean? Like the fact that you took time out of your day or you're with your
just
friends,
to let me know.
Yeah, it's cool. So I think for people who are listening, even if it's not this podcast or it's not his music, let people know that you support what they're into, because the people who put the time into them, it makes what they're doing worthwhile. And even
it feels so good.
A simple gesture would be like, hey, I listened to your song. I think it was really good. You know what I mean? Or I thought I really like this part of the song. It means a lot to the person.
Yeah.
So help your local business, your local creator, your local people in general. We can always use it. You know, a simple compliment goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Anything in closing you want to say as we wrap out of here?
If you want to understand me and a lot of what we talked about, go check out that rainfall video. That's not on platforms. You're gonna have to check that out on my YouTube page, which is just Yeddi Music. YEDDI.
It's also the full thing's on Instagram too, right?
Yeah, if you check out my Instagram, I actually post the most. Like you'll get exclusive freestyles on my Instagram that I don't post anywhere else. Like those are only on my Instagram, and those actually typically do fairly well.
Yeah. So the post you did for this page had like 600 people like it.
Yeah,
in 2 days.
Just recently, like my posts have been blowing up. Like I got like 800 likes, 800 likes, 600 likes, 500
better
likes.
Than I've ever done.
It feels so good too. Like just to know people are, even if you don't like it, people are acknowledging what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Even if somebody saw that, oh, this already has 400 likes, double click. Like I know that there's people like that. Like we said, people ride the wave, but I'm ride my wave. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that little heart.
Yeah, it goes a long way though. It really does.
Kick some endorphins into our body.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. We had one person say, Peyton Sendes said, I can hear y'all. She was the one who told us they couldn't hear us.
That's one of Jace's friends.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
thank you
for checking
thank
it
you
out,
for
Paige.
earlier telling us that we had audio issues. We bounced in between numbers wise here, but I think more people listen to the replay than they do the live. But we had someone on Twitch, LT Courage. I don't know what that emoji is. Let me click on it. Is it a skull or something? I don't know. But we'll put you out there. We'll give you a shout. We'll give Peyton a shout out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you were here, you didn't comment, it's fine. Lurkers are good. We accept those. But
I got a couple messages too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for coming, sitting down.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
It was fun.
Maybe when Austin comes back home, we'll sit down.
He's coming home soon too.
Yeah,
right?
we're actually flying out to Colorado, then driving to him, picking him up, and then driving back to Colorado, and then flying back home.
Okay.
So we're gonna do like a little tour between California to Colorado, like
That'll be
stopping
cool.
at different places and
Hell yeah.
record some stuff. But when he comes home, we'll maybe we'll all sit down and do like
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
we'll do like a special banging beers where it's just like
Dude, if you guys need to check out that shit, because he just gave me probably the best IPA I had in my life.
that's at the cake stand. You could pick both these beers up. I had this is from Richmond, California, East Brothers Brewing Company. They have a mixed 4-pack. It comes with 2 IPAs and also a Pilsner. You can get this at the cake stand in Monte City. I'm not sure if that's still there, but there's a blueberry and
I have
vanilla.
a habit of crushing my beer can after for some reason. But this was
the blueberry
good.
vanilla. They both have IPAs, but I get a lot of my beers at the cake stand in Monte City. Good local business. Go support them. But maybe I think what we could do is like we gave a lot of shout outs to your friend group.
Yeah.
You know, your people. Maybe we'll do like a banging beers /
Have them
interview
all
some of the
on.
people. And
Oh,
we'll have a few beers and we'll all sit and talk and
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
and you guys can talk about your childhood and I'll pick his apart. And ask questions.
Sounds good.
But then the people who don't know, like, listen to this. There's nothing written here. There's nothing planned.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
I had no
natural.
idea what I was being asked. Like
Yeah.
these are just two dudes
Did you have
having a
fun?
good conversation. Yeah, I fucking loved it, dude.
Nice, man.
This was the first interview I ever did.
Really?
I'm proud that I'm happy it was with you. I wouldn't
So
want to do
am
it with
I.
anyone else.
It's really good. So we'll get you out of here. Make sure you follow the links below. Like I said, go into a social media page,
Check
hitting the like
those
button
out.
helps out. Here's some Steve Fulton, local artist from Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Go follow them. Check out that music. We'll see you next time.